Hello people of the internet and welcome to another edition of Kaiju's Corner. I am of course your host Andres Perez aka KaijuNoir, and here with me is another new guest, one who has become my most recent collaborator, my most recent contributor to the KaijuNoir channel. Give it up for the one and only up-and-coming animator, Crookedlore.
Please, Crookedlore Productions.
Alright, Mr. Crookedlore Productions?
Mr. Super Sexy Crookedlore Productions.
Can I just call you Crookedlore for short?
I guess for a commoner like you.
Well, anyways, for those of you who have checked out my more recent videos, you may have noticed a surprising addition of animation, especially when it comes to the intro sequence, and especially the recent videos such as the 1,000 subscriber special video I'd made, as well as the newer aesthetics that have been applied to the recent review I put out of Rebirth of Mothra 2. And so you can, as I've given credit in the past, but now you can thank this individual for kindly giving his talents for this channel.
You better thank me. I work for free for you.
And just for the record, I have offered to pay you.
No, he hasn't. Don't listen to him. Everything he says is a lie.
Who are they gonna believe, you or me?
Interesting story how we met. He was being attacked by squirrels. I defeated the squirrels. He went, "Oh, you're so awesome. Would you animate for me?" No idea how he knew I was an animator.
And I have no idea how we met in Japan or San Diego or whenever the hell this timeline is supposed to go.
It's an alternate universe, my friend.
Sure, let's go with that. So anyways, given the fact that our characters slash personas slash YouTube channels had a recent crossover with the ending of the Rebirth of Mothra 2 review, I decided to invite him over to discuss crossovers in general. But before we get into that, would you like to share with the audience, give a little bit of information of who you are, how you came to be, and how we ended up meeting each other?
Yes, well, on my YouTube channel, I do a web series called Augustine's Crooked Fables. There, I pretty much make fun of anime genres and series. The first and only episode I have right now, is about the concept of characters being stuck in video games, like Sword Art Online, Overlord, and all that. And how we actually met. I was a big fan of seeing I'm having trouble saying this, but lesser known giant monsters, and I ran across your channel because you did a lot of reviews on that.
Right. I remember those were the first reviews I put out.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the Death Kappa episode in particular.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah. Who would have thought a giant monster that eats cucumbers would make me laugh?
I guess only Japan would know, given how they would usually dig random stuff like that.
That's true.
Around what year did you start watching my videos?
That's a good question. I don't really remember. I'd say maybe 2015.
It's like I was always there in your life.
I was always there. I'm actually in your closet right now. Sorry if I've been cutting myself in there. I've just been very obsessed.
Okay. Anyways,
I didn't freak you out with that, did I?
Trust me, I've dealt with words on this channel.
Once you up a little bit.
I've said I've seen worse on this channel, and when you've been involved with the Sons of Serizawa as much as I have, you generally have been around the block and have seen everything, heard everything, done everything up to this point.
But there's a major difference. You haven't done with me yet. That came out wrong.
That almost worked as a badass action hero line. almost like Rorschach is like, I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me.
That's like saying, no, don't fuck you, fuck me. Wait.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you know what? No, I'm sticking with
Scratch
it.
that.
Sticking with it.
Just run with it. Go with it. Fuck it, we'll do it live. So, introductions, erratic and crazy introductions aside,
yes.
Sorry,
I forgot to mention my characters.
Oh, right, the characters that were actually indeed featured. Your characters that you created and you own that were featured in the ending of the Rebirth of Mothra 2 review.
Thank you for giving me credit for that. Now I will point the gun away from you.
Okay, thank you.
My characters are Augustine the Crooked Man and his partner Belle the Crooked Cat Girl.
Because, of course, you would need that.
Yeah, and eventually I'm going to have a character called Jeffrey the Crooked Mouse, who will just be a stuffed mouse.
That sounds amazing.
Thank you.
So so we know that Belle is a cat girl, and your typical anime cat girl character
With an eye patch.
with an eye patch, of course, and with a pumpkin jack-o'-lantern Halloween theme going on.
That was actually based off Sora's Halloween outfit from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can definitely see a lot of that influence. So, what is the Crooked Man? What is Augustine?
Well, the Crooked Man is a old poem.
Okay, yeah, I remember you told me that a while back.
Yeah, but Augustine himself evolved so much ever since I came up with his idea. He wasn't even the Crooked Man when I first designed him.
Mm-hmm.
He was just August. Actually, he wasn't even Augustine the first. His first name was Night Stalker.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, he had a very superhero look. He had a cape. He kind of wore a vest at the time.
Okay, so it's kind of like DC's Dead Man?
Yeah,
like
kind of.
Like a supernatural alternate dimension sort of creature.
Yeah, but funny thing how he became what he is now, his new design is actually very much inspired by Gothic operas.
Mm-hmm, okay.
Kind of like, I wouldn't really count this, but like Rocky Horror, and there's a musical called The Devil's Carnival.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a very dark, I always imagine Augustine being a singer.
Okay, I can see that with the way you've characterized him in the past. So is he supernatural? Is he like more of like an interdimensional being?
Yeah. Yes, Augustine is a interdimensional being. He's I actually consider him to be the most powerful being that to ever exist, because whenever he dies, he would just end up back in his own world, which is the world you see in my shorts.
All right, that is cool. Very interesting stuff. So I knew that you had a pair of interesting characters, and given that I had this idea of wanting to play around with a storyline in my reviews, and given how we're getting very close to the end of my Heisei retrospective, I decided to do something special, experiment a bit with the format, and, I figured since now you were in charge of the visual style of the reviews, I figured you would like to do this sort of little cross-promotion, crossover deal going on, and I'm very glad it's worked out so far, and I'm sure my audience can't wait to see where it's going to go in the future with the next review.
I can't wait either.
So, anyways, on the subject of crossovers, for you personally, what is it about crossovers that you find entertaining?
But to me, it releases the inner child in my mind. Like the idea of seeing Power Rangers meet Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something only as a child I would think I would ever want.
Mm-hmm.
But when it actually happens, you're like, oh, I need this now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then there are those crossovers that you don't know why they made them, like a crossover between Spawn and Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh yeah, that was a thing, right? But that was just like a small cameo in like a larger crossover, right? Between Archie and Image.
Weird. Yeah, it's weird because the cover made it look like Spawn was going to be such a big deal in it.
Oh, okay, I never saw the cover. I just saw that one panel.
Yeah, and when I was looking at it, I was like, oh my god, it's going to be awesome. Spawn's going to kill Dr. Robotnik. Sonic's probably going to deal with hell. It's going to be amazing.
That's interesting. It's interesting that you brought up Spawn, but we'll get into that when we discuss when we talk about comic crossovers more specifically. But yeah, it's a very. What I also liked about crossovers is that it's this nice way of taking two properties that may or may not have much in common and seeing how they would interact and how they would respond to each other's presence. I think one of the first crossovers I've ever seen was possibly the Universal Monster movies. I remember,
that would be a crossover, you're right.
Yeah, they were probably
that was the first cinematic universe.
Yeah, that is definitely true. And it's very ironic how they're trying to replicate that. Universal is trying to replicate that again after everyone else kind of took the cinematic universe idea and have made it as popular as it is today. And I feel like that's why I thought that making an episode on crossovers would be very timely, given how many crossovers, or given how there's been a resurgence in crossovers in cinema today. Even though crossovers have always been a thing, we never got a lot of them in film. And ever since the Marvel Cinematic Universe was kickstarted, now everyone wants to jump on that bandwagon. But going back to the beginning, I think, it was the Universal Monsters that I saw. I remember loving the hell out of Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein. I'm pretty sure I've seen several other things, like maybe Scooby-Doo, if you want to count that, because Scooby-Doo would also have a bunch of...
Yeah, came up with Batman and...
Yeah, those ones. Yeah, I was actually thinking of more like the generic Frankenstein Wolfman sort of deal. But then it's like, and then, Alvin and the Chipmunks, they also did the whole thing with Frankenstein and the Wolfman. Pretty much everyone at this point has made crossovers with the Universal Monsters.
Even I have.
I'm pretty sure I have before, but I just forgot about it. I'm pretty sure I can make like a Halloween special of Drake, where it's like Draco Azul fighting the legendary beast Wolfman from that fan film. But
I'd watch that.
I would too, man. But then again, it's my own character, so that's kind of biased right there.
Don't be a narcissist. I'm allowed to be a narcissist. I'm an animator.
Anyways, there was but you're right, Scooby-Doo did a lot of crossovers. I think they called that television series the New Scooby-Doo Movies, which doesn't really make any sense whatsoever, given it's just...
I never understood that.
Yeah, but you're right, they did cross over with Batman, they crossed over with the Addams Family, they crossed over with the Three Stooges.
Funny thing about the Batman one, I own it on DVD, the Scooby-Doo meets Batman.
Yeah, my cousin actually owns that as well, yeah. I think there was another instance. I think Hanna-Barbera also did several crossovers as well.
Yeah, there was the Wacky Olympics.
Yeah, and I think there was also Yogi Bear's Christmas special, which had the other characters like Huckleberry McGilla Gorilla, Huckleberry Hound. What was the name of that panther? Snagglepuss.
Yeah. Heavens, the Mugatron.
I put him up.
Okay, you did that way better than I could.
I've had too much practice with these voices. Hey, boo-boo, let's talk about our crossovers after we eat this picnic basket. Sure thing,
Yogi. I'm the one that voices a character, and you're better at me.
Next thing you know, I can do Augustine better than you.
How dare you?
So anyways, it's like, you dare. And I'm pointing at my throat, don't make me use this. I have a loaded vocal cord, I'm not afraid to use it.
Again, that sounds a little dirtier than I expected it to be for some reason.
Probably. Oh.
I'm not pervert.
Anyways.
I am.
So, where was I? Oh, yeah. History of crossovers. I think also when Cartoon Network got started, they relied a lot on the Looney Tunes, on old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and so during their earlier years, Cartoon Network would create these animated
crossovers,
bumpers.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Animated bumpers where they would feature all these Hanna-Barbera and Warner Brothers, and even sometimes Cartoon Network original characters interacting with each other. If you remember, there was this thing where it was Fred Flintstone and two other characters that were in a parking lot trying to look for a parking spot to get in so they can start working at Cartoon Network Studios. And they find a parking spot, and Speed Racer's there, and they're trying to get the last parking spot.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And then I think eventually they came to the early 2000s where they started creating, the Cartoon Network created this fictional city where all the characters interact with each other.
That's what I was thinking of. That's what I was thinking of more.
Yeah, that was the most popular one, the city era of the Cartoon Network bumpers. I was thinking of what fans call the Powerhouse era, where they used the Powerhouse song, da 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 da. And I guess the Looney Tunes also, they've crossed over numerous times across their shorts, which I was exposed to.
I remember one episode of the original Looney Tunes where Daffy Duck was trying to be a superhero, and he ran across Superman, who was angry at him trying to be a hero in his town.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But one that really sticks out was, remember the Duck Dodgers cartoon that happened in the early 2000s?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
They did a Green Lantern episode.
Okay, I'd seen pictures of that, but I never saw that on television.
Kevin Smith voiced the Green Lantern, voiced Hal Jordan. I thought that was hilarious for some reason.
That's really odd. Also, speaking of Superman, superhero cartoons did a lot of the whole in-universe, this whole like animated universe deal. There was the 90s Spider-Man, the X-Men. They crossed over on one occasion. Iron Man, he had a show and he crossed over. I did the whole
weird thing about Iron Man. I'm sorry, you go ahead.
I'm not sure if the Hulk ever crossed over with anyone. He did cross over with Doctor Strange.
He crossed over with Fantastic Four.
Oh, okay. And I know he teamed up with Doctor Strange in one episode, but Doctor Strange didn't have his own show. But
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider? Okay, all right.
Yeah, Ghost Rider, they actually tried introducing him into these cartoons to try to get him his own animated series.
That's a shame because the 90s was a perfect era for a Ghost Rider cartoon.
Yeah, but I was wondering, how could they get away with the actual story, though?
Oh, you can just say instead of from hell, he's from another dimension. Ooh.
Well, at the same time, hell, they used that a lot in a lot of classic cartoons around the 90s.
No, really? I thought there was a lot of I know there was a lot of censorship against violence, but I don't think they allowed stuff like hell and death to be mentioned.
They said hell in Gargoyles and the X-Men. I remember they said that several times.
Okay, but to depict hell, that's another thing entirely.
No, not depict it. No, they can easily alter it to look not as covered in flesh and flames and all that.
I mean, if you use it as the Looney Tunes cartoons, there's nothing you can do about that. Those things were made, obviously 50, 60 years ago. But yeah, I would assume that it's he's just a creature from another dimension who offered him Johnny Blaze the chance for power.
Although I don't think it was the Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. I think that was the main problem with it.
Then fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's my Nick Cage Ghost Rider? I want to see.
I don't want the new Ghost Rider that drives a car.
I want the one that's scraping at the door.
Yeah. If he drives a car, then he's not a rider. He's a driver. If he'd be a rider, he'd be riding in the seat.
He'd be a ghost driver.
Yeah, but that's just not intimidating.
Let's see. Although funny enough, there is a Kamen Rider who did drive a car instead of a motorcycle, and his name was Kamen Rider Drive. But wouldn't he be called Kamen Driver? I think I'm thinking too much into this. So anyways, I think that generally covers I guess our experiences with crossovers. I guess because you and I are almost at a similar age, give or take a couple years. But we both, I guess we've been exposed to numerous crossovers in our childhoods, and so I think it's easy for us to accept the idea of crossovers. It's okay, these two characters meeting together and seeing them, either fighting or teaming up against another larger threat.
Which are all crossovers.
Yeah, that's the majority of crossovers. Or I think crossovers kind of boil down to one of two scenarios. Either it's a crossover where they are fighting the entire time, or they're trying to one-up one another, and only to then team up against that larger threat that I just mentioned. Or it's kind of or it's kind of how would you say? It's become rather cliche nowadays for them to use that story. But then again, it's the
only way to really do it.
Right, because you don't want one side to overcome. You don't want one side to overpower the other side.
Yeah.
That's the most difficult thing about writing a crossover. I can only assume is to give each side their fair share, give each of them an equal treatment, their equal amount of spotlight, and show the strengths and weaknesses of both sides. And because otherwise you can never really show one side winning, because then that wouldn't be fair. You would be pissing off a lot of people. And so even though you have a lot of these crossovers, it's Batman versus Judge Dredd, or Superman versus
Aliens. That was
you're right about that. Superman versus Aliens, Batman versus Predator, Superman and Batman versus Aliens and Predator.
Didn't get to read that one. I don't know why. I read all the others, but I haven't read that one.
But you can never have one side truly win unless one side is clearly supposed to be the villain, like Superman versus Terminator or RoboCop versus Terminator, or what's another thing? But if like you have something fighting against a clearly evil threat, then of course yes, you need the good guy to win in the end. But if you have two people like Superman, Judge Dredd, Batman, Judge Dredd, or Power Rangers and Justice League, you can't. They're both good guy or like protagonist characters that you cannot choose a side. But then again, there's always the chance where you have one side that's clearly meant to be more popular, that was clearly more favored by the writer. Like if you read Batman Spawn, you have Batman who's got he's always got the edge on Spawn, and you have Batman constantly berating Spawn, calling him a punk or undisciplined slacker or whatever sort of like old man thing you would hear out of him.
Or even the new up-and-coming Marvel versus Capcom Infinity. It kind of seems like they're favoring more the Marvel side than the Capcom side.
I guess that's true. I haven't seen that many Capcom reveals, though. You're right about that. Yeah. And what's another one? Oh, yeah, Turtles and... what was it called? Turtles Forever? The 30th anniversary Ninja Turtle movie. Many people have criticized that movie because of how they treated... because people felt that they treated the 80s Turtles as being too wacky. They feel like parodies of themselves. And while I haven't seen the crossover between the 80s Turtles and the CGI TMNT Turtles, it seems like that crossover was more favored because they treated the 80s Turtles with a lot more respect.
Then also they got all the original voice actors too, which is a problem they had with the Turtles Forever movie.
Yeah.
They didn't get I don't think they got Billy D. I forgot his full name, but he's the guy that voiced
Billy D. Williams?
No.
Hey, fellas, cowabunga.
Right now, I just want that. I don't care. I forget everything we're talking about. Let's talk about that.
It's time to kick some shell. Yeah. Have you seen a Millennium Falcon around here?
He voices Klaus in in American Dad, and he also voices Donatello in the new Ninja Turtles. That's what I was trying to say.
Rob
He also voiced one of the original Ninja Turtles.
Rob Paulson?
No, not him. Yeah, let's move on. I'm getting sick and tired of this.
All right. So, and I guess another one that felt uneven was the Family Guy Simpsons crossover, where
that was more Family Guy than Simpsons.
It was clearly like a Simpsons a Family Guy episode written by all Family Guy writers that happened to guest star The Simpsons.
I did love the fact that Homer didn't understand when people were trying to set him up for a cutaway, but still, I would have liked an even balance.
Yeah. So there are examples of badly written crossovers or crossovers that may be good, but still favor one side over the other and makes it the
like the Sonic Image crossover.
So that I haven't read, and that's another one. Speaking of Image, that's a really interesting crossover series because they did attempted some crossovers, as far as I'm aware. Because at this point, I've only read a good chunk of Spawn and the Max. But I understand that there were some crossovers in between the Image characters, and that they were trying to make like an Image universe. But then, when I got further and further into Spawn, I started realizing that can never work, given how like Spawn would go into like apocalyptic and then post-apocalyptic and then rebooted scenarios that just wouldn't gel well with the rest of the characters in the Image universe. So I guess it's one of those deals where it's like it's never consistent, and it's only a crossover only when it's convenient.
Yeah, kind of like the Devilman versus Cyborg 009.
Yeah, or just Devilman, or just any sort of Go-Nagai crossover, really. Because like not to spoil things, but when it comes to the traditional Devilman narrative, things do not end well. So
everyone dies.
Damn it. So to have a crossover with Devilman, whether it's like Devilman versus Mazinger Z, or even like other Go-Nagai stuff like Great Mazinger versus Getter Robo,
Wasn't the first one, wasn't that based more on the anime Devilman, not the manga? Those are two, they are two different storylines?
That is very true. Yeah, the Devilman, the anime, the 70s anime of Devilman was a very different beast altogether, quite figuratively and literally.
Yeah, he wore pants.
No, he wore speedos. He wore speedos. Yes. He
had modesty.
He had modesty. Yeah. And meanwhile, the other guy has his furry goat demonic legs. He's just letting it all hang out there. And he thinks
about clothes after the fight.
Right. Where does he get his clothes after he transforms back? But some questions are better left unanswered. So yeah, it's one of those deals where it's like they take place in the same universe only when it's convenient. The same thing can be applied to Sentai and Kamen Rider whenever they have their superhero Tyson crossovers, where they don't really interact, or even within their own franchises, the Sentais would cross over with each other, and the Kamen Riders would cross over with each other, and the Ultramen would cross over with each other, and be like, oh yeah, I forgot, you guys exist now. I forgot you guys existed the whole time.
Also, Power Rangers did this too.
Oh yeah, they do that too, where they would ignore certain things that happened in the past, and then oh, by the way, here are last year's Rangers. Oh yeah, I forgot they were a thing, and now they are again, and now after we're done with this, we're gonna forget about you as well. Although I would say the Zordon era and the post post Zordon pre-Disney era stuff try to keep things in check. But each season generally does their own thing with no regard to what happened previously, and that's the case with every Ultraman, with every Kamen Rider, with every Super Sentai series.
I stopped watching Power Rangers after they whitewashed the Green Ranger.
What was that?
When they made him the White Ranger.
Oh, you're talking about literal whitewashing. Okay.
Yes.
I stuck around until Wild Force, came back for Dino Thunder, and then I came back once more for Samurai, and that was
I remember all those, yeah.
Yeah. So that's almost kind of like a lazy style of crossovers, I think.
Yeah.
And then of course we have the thing what we're about to go into, which is comic books. And with comic books, I feel it feels like they've always tried to go, at least for the longest try to establish a continuity, an ongoing narrative that only changes ever so slightly every couple of years, and then try to reboot the whole thing, try to reorganize this mess of a continuity, and then eventually they say, okay, now things are too complicated, let's reboot again.
Which what DC did, and it worked perfectly. Marvel's trying to do the same thing, probably gonna fail.
Right, with DC they did, what was it? Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Right, Crisis on Infinite Earths, yeah.
And which I hear was a good story, but I have yet to read it. And then eventually DC kind of got their shit together. Yeah, Flashpoint, that was the one that led to the New 52. And then there was a thing called Convergence, I think it was called, which led to the DC Rebirth, which I think is still technically the New 52, but just more traditional.
They just brought back a lot of older characters like the ginger-haired Wally West and Jay Garrett.
Okay. Oh yeah, that was a whole mess where it's like that was like a half-assed reboot when the New 52 started, where it's like some things are in continuity, some things are not, some characters still remember events from what just happened, and some things are just retcon altogether. But then it's like they don't know whether to commit to the idea of a reboot or just continue where things left off, which is kind of what Batman did, which again didn't really make sense, because Batman went through all these events, have all these Robins, and yet all this only happened within 5 years because all the characters are younger now.
Look, Robins are expendable. That's why he has them.
That makes sense.
Hey kid, get in my car. I need you as a shield.
Oh boy.
At least he's not doing anything dirty.
Thank God, unless it's like All-Star Batman and Robin. Who knows what that Batman is going to do to that poor Robin. There was and then there's Marvel. Marvel never did a reboot, really. They would just update the characters' ages and the time period every so often. So it's
they kind of did a reboot recently called Secret Wars.
Right.
They knew
That was the one where they had like separate universes with different versions of each character, and then they would
colliding into one. Yeah, kind of their own Crisis of Infinite Earths.
Right, and they would all go to war with each other to see who would be like the representative of that particular character, I think.
Yep. Now we're in the mainstream universe. We have the Miles Morales Spider-Man, which is the ultimate version of Spider-Man, hanging out with Peter Parker. Instead of Wolverine, we have Old Man Logan.
Right. And you have X-23, who's the new Wolverine. This is like a more... we talked a little bit about this off recording, where we talked about how like Marvel's going into this more diverse direction. They're trying to like change up the status quo that has been kept for so long, trying to gain more readers by introducing more characters of different backgrounds. And so for better or worse, depending on the quality of the storytelling and whether or not Marvel is actually promoting these things, given how many series and many crossover events they keep pumping out that people can't afford to keep up with.
Although I will admit, Monsters Unleashed was a fun story.
Okay.
Giant monsters fighting against superheroes. How can you not enjoy that?
I gotta check that out. But the thing that Marvel did was they created the Ultimate Universe back in, was it 2000 or 2001 with Ultimate Spider-Man?
Yeah, I believe it was 2001. They created to kind of make a comic book series aimed towards an older audience.
Right. At the then emerging millennial generation, or at least the late Generation Y people. Because like you were born in the 2000s, right?
No. A little further back.
Okay, late 90s?
Yes. Let's go with that, yeah.
All right, because I was early 90s, so we were both late Generation Ys. I think like anything that's 2000 and above, that's technically millennials, although some people would label people like you and I as millennials.
Yes.
But either way, that was the Ultimate Universe was kind of geared towards our generation. And it was kind of an interesting way. It was like, it's a reboot without technically rebooting the universe. And instead just treating it as its own independent universe free from any confusing continuity, only for that to eventually gain its own complicated and convoluted continuity to the point where...
Let's kill everyone.
Yeah, it got to the point where it's like, let's just wipe the slate clean. Let's keep Miles Morales, but for everyone else, fuck him.
Yeah. Say Wolverine, guess what's going to happen to him? He's going to explode.
Oh, yeah, that happened. Yeah, with Ultimatum. I think Ultimatum kind of... I would say... I'm not sure if I would say this, because while I do try to keep up with comic news, I don't follow it as much as, like, movie news. So, as far as I know, it felt to me like Ultimatum, from an outsider's perspective, kind of killed the momentum of the Ultimate Universe.
Well, to me, the Ultimate Universe has been dead for a long time because they, like I said, get rid of a lot of major characters.
Mm-hmm. Right, and they kind of canceled most of these books to the point where Ultimate Comics was the only one that survived. Ultimate Comics, because it was no longer Ultimate Spider-Man, it was now just Ultimate Comics, Spider-Man. Yeah. I think that was like the only one that survived up until the Ultimate Universe's eventual destruction. So when it comes to comics, what have been some of your personal favorite crossovers?
That is the funny thing. Some of my most favorite ones are usually either the most ridiculous or if they're horror related.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the Evil Dead crossovers. I love almost all of those, particularly Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. I love that just because it's based off the script of what was supposed to be the sequel of the movie. Right. You can even read that a little bit if you read the script. If you read the book, it kind of reads like a movie.
Okay, interesting. And that's what I think. While the whole that's another cliche, on top of the whole formula of characters fighting and then teaming up against a larger threat, the idea of two characters, one character two characters from two different dimensions crossing over into each other is really cliche at this point. I mean, we've even seen this with the likes of Justice League versus Power Rangers, but with Ash, I think it makes the most sense given how much time traveling and interdimensional traveling he did in the movie series itself, at least with Army of Darkness. Even though it was technically time travel, not interdimensional travel, it would kind of make sense for him to be sent to another wacky world instead.
That's what led to the Marvel Zombies crossover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, what I actually like about the Army of Darkness or Evil Dead, whichever you want to refer to comics to, because they just switch back and forth on you.
Mm-hmm.
But all these crossovers are canon to the main story.
Okay, that's interesting.
Because that takes place, Marvel Zombies vs. Army of Darkness, after Ash died in the previous comic series.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was sent to heaven, and sorry here, but in heaven, that's where the Sentry, the zombie version, the one that affected the Marvel Universe, was there attacking the deceased souls. Yeah, he can eat already dead people.
Okay, if it could happen in Bleach, I suppose it can happen here as well.
Yeah, and he knocked Ash into the main not the main Marvel universe, but main Marvel zombie universe.
Okay.
Before everything went down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's kind of interesting just seeing a character like Ash Williams with costume superheroes.
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, especially it's a whole very different aesthetic unless you bring in a character like Luke Cage, but I doubt he was in the book. He
was, but it was like his very classic one where he had an afro, a tiara, very deep V shirt.
Okay, so even Luke Cage had a costume.
To an extent, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, all the Marvel zombies are based off their more classic designs.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's because it made them a little more eerie looking.
Right, and more recognizable for people to see them. It's like, okay, I recognize the costumes, and now I can recognize what character that's supposed to be.
Yep. But yeah, to me, it's more of they took the costumes from when the comic books were kind of more innocent and made them to something darker. Yeah.
I see. Let's see. Well, some of the ones that I like, the first one that comes to mind is not like it's a more traditional type of crossover, and that is Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come is one of my favorite comic books. Have you had the chance to read it?
Actually, I'd never even heard of it until now.
Really? Okay. Are you familiar with an artist by the name of Alex Ross?
I've heard the name, yes, but I can't think of anything right now.
He's the guy who does the realistic paintings of the characters.
Yeah.
So Kingdom Come was this like multi-generational what if Elseworlds story. For those who don't know, Elseworlds are the series of DC comics that take place in alternate what if scenarios / universes. So it's like, here's a story where Superman landed in Gotham and was raised as Bruce Wayne and became Batman instead of Superman. Here's an alternate universe where Batman found the Green Lantern ring and became Green Lantern. Here's an alternate universe where
basically the DC's version of What If.
Exactly, yeah. So this is an Elseworld story where a new generation of superheroes, it was more like a commentary on the more extreme and crazy murderous type of superheroes that were being popular and getting pumped out by Image Comics. So this is more of a commentary on that, where it's like, this is the future of the DC universe, where the next generation of heroes have become more violent, more irresponsible, and with them kicking all the bad guys' asses, they just ended up fighting each other for sport. And so Superman eventually, he decided to quit after one guy who killed the Joker, one hero who was clearly based off of Cable, killed the Joker and was not punished for his crime. Superman decides to retire. All the other older superheroes, they gave up hope and they also retired, except for Batman, who keeps a watch over the city. The Flash also keeps a watch over the city as well, his city. So then Superman decides to come out of retirement, try to, whip this new generation back into shape, even if by force, and that just only creates more problems, as it's like old generation versus new generation. Batman's trying to almost like totalitarian style of controlling people by force versus Batman trying to fight for like the freedom of these people. And it's just this wonderful kind of like love letter to like the DC universe, as well as this like tale of two generation of this kind of like the message is all about like understanding, and it's all about trying to appeal to the other side without forcing them into doing something you would want. It's about two sides trying to understand each other.
It's pretty much just two sides have opinions, neither side's really wrong.
Exactly, yeah. It's like everyone's guilty to some degree.
Yeah.
But it's also really sad because it's Superman. He's trying to do what he thinks is right. He's been through a lot of stuff. He's lost a lot of people in his life. And he's never straight up the bad guy. He just makes these decisions that kind of make things worse. And all at the same time.
Kind of like Civil War. The comic.
Yeah,
not
like Civil War. Yeah. Well, not like the comic, but yeah, like the movie. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend anyone to read Kingdom Come. In fact, Kingdom Come was so popular that it ended up having like a few spin-off series focusing on characters from this alternate future. This is the future where I think Robin and Starfire actually did get married and had a child, I think. And I think this was also one that featured a different version of a son of Batman and Talia al Ghul before Damian Wayne was made canon. Let's see. There was also, and there's also some characters in the background. You would see, like, in the background where you see all these new generation of heroes. In the background, you can find, like, the Shadow and Rorschach involved. And it's really cool to see them, like, cool Easter eggs, seeing all these different characters and the sons and daughters of these popular characters all together.
It kind of sounds a little bit like The Dark Knight Returns.
It's almost like the Dark Knight Returns of the DC universe.
Yeah.
In fact, it's probably like my top favorite comic that I would love to see made into
an animated movie?
Turn into an animated movie, yeah. The only problem is, how the hell would you translate Kingdom Come's art style into an animated movie? Because we've seen what they try to do. That's
always the problem.
Yeah, because we've seen what they try to do with the Killing Joke.
Killing Joke?
Yeah, because I think
they were close, but they just didn't reach the appeal of the comics art.
Right, and even then, like, a lot of the newer stuff feels very cheap in comparison to the books themselves. I mean, like earlier stuff, like a lot of the earlier movies, especially something like what was it called, The Frontier,
Justice League Frontier.
Justice League Frontier, yes. That one.
Very golden age art style.
Yeah, they did a really great job at paying homage to, I think it was named Dan Cook.
I think it's Dan Cook. I know that. I remember that name, but I think it's Dan Cook.
Or maybe that's the name of. I'm thinking of the name of that comedian.
Dane Cook.
Dane Cook. Yeah. The New Frontier. Yes, Justice League: The New Frontier. And Darwin Cook. That's the name of the artist. God rest his soul. But they did a good job doing copying his, like, paying respect to his golden age, very animated, stylized art.
Of all the DC anime movies, I think that one was the most unique animation wise.
Right, because a lot of the new ones are just kind of have this very streamlined New 52-esque. Yeah, very basic. They don't really have any sort of, like, nothing about these new New 52 based movies that kind of stand out in a way. They feel very kind of generic. Even it's almost like a half-assed Young Justice approach.
I did get that feel from it. It's
Young Justice, but not as interesting to look at.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just sent you an image of Kingdom Come, and this was the first appearance of Red Robin before
the restaurant.
Sure, but this was before the in-canon Tim Drake Red Robin.
Yeah.
In this universe,
when Robin just wasn't good enough, you had to add the word red.
Right. This was before Dick Grayson. I don't think he became Nightwing in this universe. Instead, he became Red Robin and joined Superman. So yeah, did you see it?
Yeah. Oh wait. Did I see that? No, I did not.
Oh yeah, the image I sent you on Skype.
Oh, I did. Oh, now I see it. Yeah. Wow, that's really great art.
And here's another example of the Alex Ross's amazing art.
I was not expecting images, considering no one else is going to see them.
Right. Well, of course, we're having a podcast. In order to have a conversation, we need we need to be on each other's same level.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's really great art.
So imagine this art for the entire comic.
And imagine it animated.
That would be a nightmare to animate, I can only assume.
Yeah.
Because
For some reason, when I think of animation like this, I think of the old movie Heavy Metal.
Oh, yeah, it would be in that, like, creepy, strange, like, rotoscope.
Somewhat realistic.
Rotoscoped. It's called rotoscoping.
Yeah.
But, well, rotoscoping is when you copy a live person's movements. Disney did a lot of rotoscoping back in the day. But, like, Heavy Metal and a lot of the Ralph Bakshi movies, they did some really bad, obvious rotoscoping where they did every single detail of a person's body and face. And sometimes they didn't even bother animating. They just put a colored filter over the character's body, like in, Wizards. That's just like, it's obvious and it looks out of place.
Strange. I do it all the time and no one seems to notice.
So you're saying that all your animations are all rotoscoped?
Yep, I play Belle.
Okay, then. But yeah, I love Kingdom Come, and I like all the crossovers with bringing every single popular character from that era. I think almost like a Bronze Age, Silver Age era, and bring them into one comic, along with bringing in these other characters that we would only see in this universe. Another comic I liked in terms of crossovers. I did recently review Darkman vs. Army of Darkness, which I absolutely love.
Yes.
Let's see. Anything else? I'm trying to think of what else have I read that I really liked. I think in terms of bad crossovers, I recently talked about Spawn Batman, which had a lot of potential, but unfortunately it just felt very bland. And despite how gorgeous it was to look at least, although it's really weird in terms of continuity because the comic supposedly takes place in the Dark Knight Returns universe, because I suppose everything Frank Miller writes has to take place in that universe that he created, and at the same time it also takes place in the Spawn universe because an injury that he receives on his face from a batarang continues onward in future stories where he has that stupid shoelace tied on his face. Let's see. I really want to check out Justice League versus Power Rangers, but I haven't had the chance to.
I've read the first few issues of that.
Okay, how was that?
So far, it's really cool. I like the fact that they brought Zed in to fight against the Power Rangers before they had the Shogun Megazord, I think it was called.
Okay. Oh wow, they brought that in.
Yeah, like I said, before they whitewashed the Green Ranger.
Okay, so they
make him take the land and resources away from the Red Ranger.
So they reinterpreted the origin of the White Ranger for this comic?
Yes, but they actually do another version of the White Ranger in the mainstream comic of the new Power Rangers. Right.
Okay, so they kind of pull like a Go Nagai crossover where they would do, like, because in, like, so let's say Getter Robo, eventually one character dies, and so the character is the upgrade from Getter Robo to Getter Robo G. But whenever they do a crossover with Mazinger Z, he's still Getter Robo, but then the characters would switch to Getter Robo G within the events of their Mazinger Z Getter Robo crossover.
Yeah. And now the story so far is that Zed teamed up with Brainiac.
Okay.
Of all the DC villains, they picked Brainiac. I'm okay with it, but I kind of felt like they could have gone with a cooler villain.
I see. Well, they're both kind of like I guess Darkseid, but I don't know, maybe Darkseid would be too strong.
Yeah. But I do like it because Zed's more magic and Brainiac's science.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see that working. Yeah.
Now, here's the thing about one panel in it. Well, not panel, but one part of the comic book is where Zed created monsters using some of the aliens Brainiac has captured. They start attacking, and some of the heroes that went to help was Green Arrow. I was like, what's he gonna do? I'll save you. Oh, well, I was not expecting this.
Once again, he brings out his bow and arrow. Don't make me use this.
I'll save the world.
One arrow at a time. One boxing glove arrow at a time. Now let's see. Another one I remember is the Green Batman 66 meets the Green Hornet.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I have heard of it.
It's a comic adaptation of the television incarnations.
I thought we were talking about the. I thought we were talking about the TV version.
No, not the TV version, because we're still talking comics. I mean,
yeah, that's why I was getting confused. I was like, are we just rushing into things?
No. The comic version, written by Kevin Smith and Ralph Garman.
Of course, Kevin Smith will be involved.
Ralph Garman and Kevin Smith, they're from one of my favorite podcasts of all time, Hollywood Babylon, which was introduced to me by Bill Wurster, a.k.a. Zazubar, here on YouTube. He introduced me to that podcast. On that podcast, they talked about the comic that they wrote together for DC, and they even did a live reading for several episodes of their podcast, where they would have Ralph Garman, he does impersonations, so he would do the voices for Batman and Robin, and then they would come up with like stupid impersonations for other characters, like Kato would be done with an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice. What was it? Huel. What's the name of the voice who did the that style of voice for the Mad Hatter? Like, my God, this kind of very effeminate voice.
I know what you're talking. I don't think it has a name.
He does have a name. That is a specific actor that anyone who does that, the Mad Hatter voice, they're specifically copying a particular actor.
Yeah, right. I know what you're talking about. For some reason, it was in my brain that just left.
Yeah. So that's the voice they chose to do for the Green Hornet himself.
Of course, why not?
So it was really fun listening to them, and then I eventually found it at my bookstore, and I read it, and it has a lot of the same spirit and charm of the '66 show, and the art perfectly replicates the look of that show, right down to... I
have seen the artwork for the Adam West Batman comic.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I like how realistic it looks.
Yeah, right down to, you can see little lines where they would draw like the mustache on Cesar Romero's face.
It even looks like old movie posters when they were hand drawn.
Yeah. Oh, Ed Wynn. That's the name of the actor, Ed Wynn. So anyone who does an Mad Hatter voice, they're doing Ed Wynn. Even like the Candy King from Wreck-It Ralph, he has that same Ed Wynn voice. Let's see.
Got really creepy when he mutated into the main boss.
You're not going turbo, are you, Ralph? Have some candy.
I just need him to swear, and I would have been scared.
Shit's about to get real fucked up, my boy.
Oh, that would scare me. Right, I just want my arch enemy to be like that.
So, that's another example of a crossover I really enjoyed. I do want to check out. What was it? Batman. I think there was a crossover between Batman '66 and Wonder Woman, the '70s. Linda Carter.
Yes, there is. I saw that on an episode of Comic Book Men.
Okay, I really want to check that out. Wouldn't it be cool if they had like the TV version? They should take Adam West Batman, Linda Carter Wonder Woman, and like George Reeves Superman, and put them all together.
Great classic Justice League.
Yes, the televised Justice League. That would be cool.
I actually had the same thought when I first heard of that.
In fact, I know there were plans for a Batman '89 comic that would have shown like this Batman '89 style versions of characters we never got to see, including Poison Ivy, Batgirl,
Harley Quinn.
Not Harley Quinn. They didn't show any concept art, but they did show a Billy D. Williams Two-Face.
Yep.
So I really wish they went with that. I mean, can you imagine? Imagine if they did like a comic crossover of Batman '89 and Christopher Reeve's Superman.
Yep, that would be really cool.
That needs to happen.
Yeah.
Let's see. So that's about it for comic crossovers off the top of my head. But are there any other examples that you can think of?
One of the best Spider-Man crossovers I could think of, the Spider-Verse.
That's another one I really want to see, if only just to read Japanese Spider-Man.
Yep, he is in it.
Mafra on! Change Reopodon!
That's actually the main reason I wanted to read it. They were showing all these other Spider-Man, like the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, the classic Spider-Man.
Do they feature Spider-Man Noir? Because I like that comic.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is in it.
For obvious reasons. Okay, awesome.
Yep. And of course, one of the main ones is Superior Spider-Man.
Interesting.
Yep. And that's why they also introduced a lot of the newer ones like Gwenpool. Not Gwenpool, but that's the Deadpool parody of that, but the Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen. Okay, right. That's where she came from.
Yeah. I admit she has an awesome design, but I think they're trying to focus too much on her in the comics right now.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah.
And
But,
there was 89 artwork for concept art for Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I thought I read that somewhere.
I just sent you an image of Billy D. Williams' Two-Face, and I
see that. It's actually really cool.
And here's concept art of the other characters.
I wish we had these characters in the old TV show.
You mean the movies?
Shut up. I don't need to take this from you.
I'll take my animation elsewhere. There's no money.
I'll take my animation, my voice actress.
It's like what's his name? Orson Welles. Orson Welles. He's like, there's no money that's worth this. Comes right back. Oh hell, I need the exposure.
I was thinking more of the clip from the movie The Jerk, where he got to say, "I'm just gonna take this and leave," and this. He's kind of grabbing things as he left.
Yeah.
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 But comic books, that you see more crossovers in comic books because it's easier to do in comic books.
Right. It's better than hiring actresses and doing animation. It's much easier to do simply through art. Yeah.
As cool as it would be to see like Ash Williams fight against Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger and all that, that's just impossible.
Right. These actors are too old for that kind of stuff. They're getting too old for this shit.
Yeah. Well, except Bruce Campbell, apparently.
Oh, yeah, he's doing that. But then, again, it's all the legal rights, the hassle. It's like... Yeah. And also, I think comics are just simply more profitable when it comes to, like, getting a return on your investment. Because movies take much more time. Movies and animation takes much more time and money and resources than comics. And they're much more expensive. So you could spend maybe $100 million on a movie like Alien vs. Predator, and then only to have it like bomb at the box office, and you'll be losing millions of dollars. Whereas I'm not sure how much it takes to make a comic, but I'm sure it's significantly less expensive, and you're aiming towards a more niche demographic that's more willing to spend their money on this, as opposed to two properties that less people are aware of and less people might want to spend their money on when they go to the cinema or want to go to Walmart and buy that DVD.
Although it's interesting because there was a comic book back in the 90s, I believe, which was a crossover between Justice League and Avengers.
Right, I saw that. It was Marvel versus DC.
No, this came out after that because after that they did a lot of other crossovers.
Okay.
But in this, the creator of the old Justice League, who he also did The Killing Joke and going to be doing the Batman Harley Quinn movie coming up, he wanted to actually do an anime adaptation of that.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, I mean, impossible. I figured I'd bring it up just because it's interesting to see that someone actually wants to do a crossover like that.
Yeah, that's actually like the mother of all crossovers, like anything involving Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
Whether
it's impossible anymore because of Disney.
Right. He's like, we're not letting you over into Warner Brothers' playground.
Yeah. The only reason we got Marvel versus Capcom is because the fans because they realize fans want it and they have money.
That is true. Yeah. Even then, it's like looking at when I saw the what was it? I think it was in my high school library. I found Marvel vs. DC, and I was shocked at its existence. I was like, wow, this was a thing, and it was a lot of fun reading that. And it's really dated because you can see these early 90s versions of these characters. You see like the jacket, like the leather jacket wearing Superboy, the Ben Reilly Spider-Man, the mullet wearing Superman.
Really weird. I thought it was weird the lineups of who fights who in it.
Yeah. Like Hulk versus Superman. Okay,
that makes a little sense for strength-wise, but like Ben Reilly Spider-Man, the Spider-Man no one really cares for versus Superboy. I understand why they did it.
Superboy nobody cares for.
Yeah, they're both clones. It makes sense, but I'm pretty sure people were like, where's Peter Parker?
Yeah, well, who fought Wolverine?
Lobo. He's an alien bounty hunter.
Okay, because they killed people. All right.
Yes.
Well, I would like to see Wolverine versus Batman, especially since we saw them cross over with each other in the Amalgam universe as Dark Claw.
I thought it was a pretty cool design, actually.
Yeah.
But Actually, one of the weird ones I thought was Shazam versus Thor. I understand because Shazam was related to Greek
Don't you
mythology.
mean Captain Marvel?
I'm sorry. To me, Captain Marvel is this weird looking female character Marvel has.
You mean, oh yeah, by weird looking, are you referring to Captain Marvel's current, like, mohawk design?
That broad shoulders, shortened breasts. I don't mind the breast thing, but the broad shoulders and the mohawk are kind of one penis away from becoming a man.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually liked the design before. I liked it when she was more feminine with the long hair. I liked the character then, but now I don't know what they're doing with her.
I don't know. They're trying to make her into Marvel's Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's why they added her into the Marvel vs. Capcom that's coming out, because they've been trying to make her the iconic female.
And I think that this was probably planned in advance, considering how in the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Hero cartoon, they briefly introduced Captain Marvel, but not as a superhero, simply as an alien, Marvel, before introducing Miss Marvel as a main...
I actually liked her a lot as Miss Marvel than I do as Captain Marvel.
I suppose like Captain Marvel just gives some sort of artificial significance to the character.
Yeah.
Oh, she's Captain Marvel now. She's a more strong, independent female character who don't need no man. Who don't need no man.
Yes.
But that's,
I felt like they could...
Yeah.
That's all, go ahead.
I was going to say that's the trend nowadays, especially with Marvel. They want to be they want to appeal to as broad a demographic as possible to get people who don't... They're trying to pull what Nintendo did in 2006 with the Wii. Get people who don't read comics into comics.
Yeah. But that's why the only real comics I read anymore are DC, Godzilla, the IDW Godzilla comics, and crossovers.
It's been forever since I picked up a IDW Godzilla comic, to be honest, after Rules of Earth ended.
One I've been wanting to read is Godzilla in Hell.
Me too, yeah. I heard my friends...
Just because the concept sounds awesome to me, and it kind of reminds me of that one movie that never existed, but people said it was supposed to have been made.
But it was just a rumor. It never existed. Same thing with Batman versus Superman. Godzilla versus Batman. It was never a real thing. It was just an idea that was brought up at the table before that guy was promptly fired, I bet.
Yes,
that I cannot confirm, but it could have been like a South Park situation where it's like, sir, are you stupid or are you high? Trust me, gentlemen.
I cannot.
Trust me, gentlemen. I am not high.
But all the weird stuff at Marvel aside, should we move on to the next type of crossovers?
Yes, and that would be?
That would be video games.
Yes. We mentioned this before, so we might as well bring it up. Marvel vs. Capcom. It started off earlier on as, I believe...
X-Men versus Street Fighter.
Right. And then it eventually became Marvel versus Street Fighter when, Marvel started getting... Street Fighter got more and more characters from their alpha lineup. And then eventually just said, I guess the two companies said, fuck it, let's just have everybody versus everybody. So it was Marvel versus... Capcom Clash of Superheroes or Clash of Heroes, and eventually that turned into Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Then we had some other characters like SNK versus Capcom, Tatsunoko versus Capcom, and eventually we got Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Fate of Two Worlds, and now we have Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
You forgot Marvel vs. Capcom. You forgot Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Oh yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah, we got Phoenix Wright.
Aw, shit.
Yeah, he points at you, and the word objection comes out. It's amazing.
And he has to go spend the battle collecting evidence so he can make these, like, bigger, more stronger attacks. It's genius.
Yeah, my team used to be Ghost Rider, Deadpool, and Dante, but I got rid of all of them just for Phoenix Wright. I
remember, like, for Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I just ended up picking, like, the cheapest characters in order, like, I would, like, pick my favorite characters for the earlier part of arcade mode, and then when I get to the Onslaught, or not Onslaught, that was the first guy's boss. Abyss, yeah, I would just pick the cheapest characters of Cable, Iceman, because he cannot get damaged when he blocks, and some other third cheap guy. It was Sentinel.
The most iconic of all the Marvel vs. Capcom characters.
Absolutely.
I forgot his name. I can't pronounce his name, but the one-eyed tentacle monster.
Oh yeah, Shumagorath. I think that was what his name was.
Yeah, because you can't have anime characters without a tentacle monster involved somewhere.
I know. I mean, what are you, fucking stupid?
Exactly. Just keep him away from the girls.
Right.
He's a sick man.
The sick world we live in with sick people.
Exactly.
So how were you first exposed to the Marvel vs. Capcom series?
That's a good question. I remember actually seeing an arcade of this long ago, and I saw Venom as part of the characters, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm just a big Venom fan. I decided to check it out. I just thought it was really cool. I was also when I was introduced to a lot of Capcom characters I like now, like Morgan from Darkstalkers, Mega Man, Ryu.
Yeah. I was just like that as well. I think it was at either it was like a Mexican taco shop or like a laundromat or some other place. It's like you always found a Marvel versus Capcom arcade machine at some random establishment. Because for me, like arcades are not really a thing here in San Diego. The closest thing you can get to them is probably like a Chuck E. Cheese, Boomers, type of environment where it's like pizza and parties and birthday parties and go-karts, all this kind of stuff. And so they always would have like these arcade machines from like the 90s, because there are no current solely dedicated arcade places anymore in San Diego where I lived, and we don't get any new arcade machines, just like the 90s and before. And so everywhere there's always at least a Marvel vs. Capcom machine. Or
I see this a lot at flea markets. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I see a lot of flea markets.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I keep on saying, one day you'll be in my office.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun. I remember I recognized Spider-Man because I was and X-Men and Iron Man because I watched the TV shows growing up, and the Hulk. And for the Capcom side, I only recognized Mega Man because I was a fan of the American animated series that was around at the time. Super Fighting Robot, Mega Man!
You mean the one with a guy who voiced Goku voiced Mega Man?
I did not know that was the case. I didn't know Sean Schimmel
did Mega Man. You can even hear it.
Really? Okay. Let's see.
I could be wrong, but it just sounds dead on like him, and I have this weird thing of telling a voice actor who it is just by the sound of their voice.
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna look at this right now. Let's see. Did he do Mega Man? Let's see. Where is his filmography?
Hope you enjoy this, folks.
Let's see. I don't see this. The first role that shows up is 1999 to 2003, Dragon Ball Z. I don't see it. Oh no, animation. Nope, still nothing. Film.
Well, look, we all make mistakes. I'm clearly Wikipedia's wrong.
Or who knows? Yeah. So yeah, I only recognized Mega Man. So, but eventually, in high school, I eventually got more into video games, more into Street Fighter. So I came to learn more of these characters over time. And yeah, so I mostly liked this game mostly from the Marvel perspective. And now I was like, oh, okay, all these characters, they're really neat and cool and fun to play as. And I think it was in high school where they released Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the PlayStation Network. And my friends and I had a lot of fun with that. And we never played 3 as much. We were always more of fans of Super Smash Brothers, which is another franchise we can get into once we're finished with this. But
3, I liked it just because it had Dante and Deadpool in it.
Yeah, because I noticed on your old YouTube channel you used those characters for some time. Yeah. So yeah, it makes sense. As fans of those characters, you enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Other characters I always enjoyed playing as. I always liked Ryu because his moves were the easiest to remember. Let's see. I'm not sure because it's been a while since I played Marvel vs. Capcom, but oh yeah, it was Zero. Zero was a lot of fun to play as well. Yeah. Speaking of Power Rangers, he was voiced by Johnny Young Botch.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But now, I'm actually excited for the new one. Actually, I'm both excited and worried for the new Marvel vs. Capcom.
And why is that?
Well, particularly, I'm excited because it's going to have a storyline. We finally get to see these characters interact with each other. I think that's awesome.
I think,
but I do not...
speaking of that, briefly go over this part. Yeah, I was surprised. I was a little sad that they never had like a story for these characters. But then again, how would you fit them all together? But I did like the still framed cutscenes for Marvel vs. Capcom 3, especially when you would see something like a character like.
Although. But that they did promise actual CG animated endings with voice actors and all that.
For 3 or Infinite?
For 3.
Oh yeah, and they didn't do that at all. And also I like the ending credit sequence as for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Where
we had all these characters interacting with each other in the sketchy art style.
Yeah, it's very nice. And you had this nice, soothing jazz music, and all these characters are celebrating. So all the villains are kind of in a corner, brooding. You see, like, what was her name? Sakura from Street Fighter taking a photo with Spider-Man.
That kind of switches back and forth between Spider-Man and Morgan, if I remember.
Yeah. It's all fun. It's all fun and games. It's all nice, innocent fun. They did the same, what they did with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, they did a similar thing with Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, which is one of my favorite games on the Wii, and it introduced me to a lot of characters I had no idea existed. Even, like, it was my first real introduction to, like, Gatchaman, because I know Gatchaman was super popular, but I never really knew that much about it until Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, and I found out about Tekkaman, and I became a bit of a fan of Tekkaman over time, having checked out the original series, and I want to check out Tekkaman Blade, because that design looks badass.
Yeah. But, if I go on to the next thing that worries me about this?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, the thing that actually worries me is the roster of characters so far, particularly from the Marvel side.
Okay, well, why is that? Is it like leaning more towards the movies, more towards the new comics?
It's more leaning towards the movies, but at the same time, they're not taking risk with characters. They're not going with like B-listers like Shuma Garth, the tentacle monster. I can't pronounce his name.
Right, well...
Yeah, they're not going with lesser-known characters just for the fun of it.
Oh yeah, it looks like they kind of seem to be ignoring the X-Men this time around.
Yeah, because they're still Fox and they don't own the rights to it.
Right. I think Marvel went so far as to like cancel the books of X-Men, and I know not so much X-Men, but kind of like put less focus on them, and going so far as to cancel Fantastic Four around the time that the movie was the Fan Four Stick movie was about to come out.
Oh God, don't remind me. It was so horrible. At the movie theater, we thought the worst thing was going to happen, that this old lady was sitting in front of us.
The horror.
We were wrong. But you gotta wonder what the people that were writing the story were thinking when they were told they couldn't use X-Men characters.
Yeah. Because those powers just like open the doors for all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah, but you gotta wonder if it went like this. Well, clearly we need Wolverine. He's been there from the beginning in this franchise. Some of this comes and goes, nope, that's Fox. We're gonna forget about the past. But the X-Men, one of the most iconic characters in Marvel. Forget about the past.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
but they did it such a great way of symbolizing racism. Yeah, yes, they did. We're doing that in our new books. Are we at least subtle about it? God, no.
It's not about racism. It's now about feminism.
Which is far worse.
Now that's a sticky stuff. I think I just opened up Pandora's box right there. So
we can try to close it.
Yeah. Again, no. I would say no.
Oh God, I have
no ill will. No ill will towards feminism, towards the idea of women and equality and all that stuff.
No.
It's all about the quality of the storytelling, and it's all about like how strong of a message you want to, how prominent of a message you want to make it, and whether or not it overtakes the story and the characters and the character development.
Oh God, I have protesters. Yep, so, you can hear them now. I have such a great sense of humor, and this wasn't funny.
You hear them like tapping, already getting ready for those comments.
Yeah. But
it's okay. It was, anyways, Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah, the roster for the Capcom side, I'm a little excited for because of one character they're introducing into it. The character called Jetta. He's the main villain of the Darkstalker series. I've actually been a big fan of this character from another crossover because I learned him from that crossover.
Which was?
This crossover is called Cross Edge or X Edge, whichever we pronounce.
Oh, that was that 3DS game, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, they had a lot of Darkstalkers characters in there. I thought it was cool seeing being introduced to Jeddah. That's also why I got the name Augustine for my character.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. So yeah, for the Marvel characters currently, we have Captain America, Captain Marvel, Hawkeye, Hulk, Iron Man.
There's also the leak roster. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but this is what I'm kind of going with.
Right. I'm not going with that so far. I'm just going to look at what's revealed right now, which will date this video, but oh well, them's the breaks. Rocket Raccoon, Thor, Ultron, and on the Capcom side, we have Chris Redfield, Chun-Li, Mega Man X, which I'm excited for because they've been ignoring the Mega Man series for the longest time outside of the Legacy Collection, and which they just released, announced the second installment featuring Mega Man's, 7 through 10, Morrigan, Ryu, Sigma, and Strider Hiryu. Yeah.
And Sigma's supposed to be a downloadable character, but yet they made him one of the main antagonists of the story.
No. That's, what's it, Ultron Sigma or Sigma Ultron?
Yeah, Ultron Sigma, but still, he's like one of the main focuses of the story.
That is strange, yeah. It's almost like, no, at least with, Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, that game had, was Darkseid and Khan.
They were, but I thought they were unlockable characters.
They were unlockable, I think so, yeah. I think you had to beat each side's story to unlock each character.
Now that was a weird crossover just because it's completely opposite from each other. It's not like with Marvel vs. Capcom we can just have this wacky fun with these two. One's about a bunch of people fighting to death in a tournament. The other one's about superheroes that don't kill.
Yeah, that's the strangest thing, and that's a lot of. It's funny how, it's a fun game overall, but the lack of what makes Mortal Kombat unique, it just makes it so distracting. Yeah.
And also, it's really weird being able to kill Batman brutally.
Right. Well, technically, it's not. You're not killing them. No. Wait, did you kill them? Yes, there were fatalities, but there were not.
The DC heroes had heroic brutalities.
Right. So they did have fatalities, but they had zero gore whatsoever. Even going so far as to censor the Joker's fatality, where the Joker would shoot someone. Well, he would take out a pop gun. It didn't work, and when the the victim is confused, the Joker pulls out another gun and then shoots the character's death. Which is really weird because you would see Deathstroke. Deathstroke would take out one of his basic attacks is taking out a gun and shooting someone in the face. But for the Joker, when he shoots a character in the face, the camera zooms in on the Joker so you don't see the character having blood spurt out of his
because he has a better gun
than Deathstroke.
It's better. Yeah, better than Deathstroke. Have you not seen the Arkham Asylum anime movie?
I guess not.
I'm very disappointed.
Oh, let's see. Oh, you mean Assault on Arkham, the Suicide Squad movie that was better than the actual Suicide Squad movie we got.
It's weird. At least it wasn't the exact same, which I thought it was going to be when I saw the trailers for the live action.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be the exact same.
Yeah, me too. But now I wish it was the exact same.
Yeah. It's weird how the live action movies fail in comparison to the animated DC movies.
Probably because with the animated movies, they're appealing to comic book fans, whereas with the live action movies, they're trying to appeal to a wider audience with what they think people like more, which is not clearly not the case. Yeah. So we were talking about Mortal Kombat vs. DC. Yeah. So that I think was Mortal Kombat. The franchise was in a slump. So I think this franchise helped pave the way and would start relationships with the Mortal Kombat and DC guys, which would eventually lead to the Mortal Kombat reboots and the Injustice game.
Yeah.
So it was a weird crossover, but it did lead to interesting collaborations down the line.
And then also gave Marvel vs. Capcom and Infinite its storyline.
Yeah, I guess so.
Two villains merging together.
I guess so, yeah. Let's see. Speaking of crossover fighting games, it looks like these are like fighting games are the best kind of games for crossovers. The one would be Super Smash Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Now there's barely a story involved outside of
unless you count Brawl.
Brawl, yeah, but then again, like as much as I like the cutscenes, they're nothing to write home about.
Yeah.
Especially with the lack of dialogue. That always bugged me. But yeah, those games are a lot of fun. I like how, even though there's no story, it's so much fun seeing all these characters interact with each other. It was also surreal to see characters like Kirby, Pikachu, and Mario be in games that are rated T for teen.
I thought it was weird seeing Bayonetta in the newer one.
Oh yeah. And Solid Snake as well in Brawl.
Yeah. When I first heard Bayonetta, I was like, well, how are they going to censor this?
Life finds a way,
Right.
dear Crookedlore.
There's one comic book I forgot to mention, actually. You guys just thought, I just can't get into mind for some reason.
Uh-huh.
The Godzilla Marvel comics.
Oh, yeah, that is a big crossover. That feature, and it's cool that they incorporated some of an element of the Marvel universe, which is like Hank Pym's, what do you call them?
Pym particles.
Pym particles, yes.
Yeah.
That allowed Godzilla to be small enough to put up somewhat of an equal level fight against certain characters like the Fantastic Four. Yeah, like seeing the Thing like kind of bum rush into Godzilla was really cool to see, or like Reed Richards trying to stretch all over Godzilla, or Godzilla teaming up, fighting and teaming up with Devil Dinosaur as well.
One character that really stuck out was the villain they made for it called Dr. Demonicus.
And yeah, and they brought him back once, I think, in a later issue of Iron Man.
But I love him because of the name alone. Dr. Demonicus. Sounds like an old-timey cartoon character. That's the voice I give him.
It sounds like a parody you would see on, like, Venture Brothers.
Exactly.
Where you would have, like, the Monarch would team up with Dr. Demonicus.
Yeah, whenever I read his panels, I end up reading it out loud in a voice sounding like Skeletor. And then I read one panel. I actually almost made myself pass out from laughter because of what I read. Praise black man! That was actually a panel from the comic, and I read it out loud.
That's like the most awkward form of racial slurring I've ever seen before. It's like, the writer wants to do something more offensive for the character, but couldn't because of the Comics Code Authority.
Exactly.
It's like, what racist would call someone black man? Like, that's
they try to make it sound more polite.
That's the laziest form of racism I've ever seen. I've ever read.
Is it really racist? I'm trying to figure out. Can you really get mad at someone calling you by the color of your skin?
Kind of.
Like, hey, white
personally.
man. What?
I mean, it's like if you point at me, it's like, halt there, Mexican. Like,
that'd be.
Okay.
I wouldn't know how to respond to that.
I'm not sure why you said that. I'd be more confused than anything else if someone were to say that to me.
Yeah.
Unless it just reminded me of this like really weird line that Major Glory said in Dexter's Laboratory. Halt there, alien! You dare step on American soil without a green card? I'd be like, whoa there, man! Now you gone too far. Actual line, by the way.
Back then when racism was fun.
Yes. And subtle.
Yes.
So, let's see. We were talking about that, and then going back to Smash Brothers. Yeah, Smash Brothers had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun seeing all these wacky elements mingle with each other. I was surprised.
But not only fighting games did crossovers.
Right. I did want to bring up one of my favorite crossover series, Super Robot Wars, which is this long-standing series of giant robot RPG games that featured like robots from every single popular anime ever and mashed them into one convoluted story and universe. In fact, there are actually multiple continuities of Super Robot Wars, where it's like there's the Alpha series, there's the Z series, there was the Classic series, and then each of them would have their original characters, and so there would be an alternate universe that featured only their original characters called Original Generation. It's so convoluted, and I love it. And it's super crazy how they try to attempt to put all these universes together, all these characters mingling with each other, all the villains teaming up with each other to fight all the heroes. Even though a lot of the games that I've owned and played are in Japanese, just seeing them together is so much fun. And the one translated version of the game that I have played, which was, I believe, which one was it? I forgot what it was. But it was on the PlayStation 1 that I downloaded on my hacked PSP. I think it was... maybe it was Super Robot Wars Z. That one, oh no, it was Alpha. Super Robot Wars Alpha. That was a lot of fun to play with. Also, I love how reading online and seeing how they try to put together certain universes is super fun. Like they take the post-apocalyptic Get a Robo Armageddon and the Big O, where both of them take place in post-apocalyptic cities, but post-apocalyptic Earths. However, they make it so as the events of Get a Robo Armageddon would lead into the creation of the Big O universe. I was like, genius.
But that reminds me of, I didn't play this, but I did run across it. You know what Queen's Blade is?
Queen's Blade. The
it's
name
very
sounds familiar.
Very fan service tournament series. But they had apparently an online game featuring a lot of female characters from different franchises.
Okay.
Yeah, there was characters like Noelle from Blaze Blue and a character called Lily from Tekken. Then a lot of other ones were girls from fan service anime, the kind only perverts would watch. Now you sit back and let me name all these for you.
No, oh boy. Hold on to your butts.
But sad thing is I do know all their names. That's the sad thing.
The thing is, I think I may have seen these characters at a hobby shop here in Japan. Especially this one character with wearing like a, how can I describe it? As like a purple one-piece swimsuit with a woman with a ponytail and a one-piece purple swimsuit. But yeah,
that sounds like that anime Kaiju.
That's another one I've heard about. Like people make fun of online on Facebook. But yeah, okay. There's crossover within fan servicey franchises. Okay.
The reason I brought that up is because they actually had anime sequences, like 2D anime sequences, where they actually talk to each other.
Okay, kind of like Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, kind of like that, but like I said, with these characters of these different franchises.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I brought that up. That's what piqued my interest about it in the first place.
All right.
I just thought it was really cool seeing all that, but I was never subbed or anything, so I never understood a word they were saying.
Okay.
Because obviously no one's gonna play a game like that over here.
Right, and if there was, they would probably cancel it due to just like what happened to Dead or Alive Extreme 3.
Yep. Once again, I have such a great sense of humor, and this isn't funny.
Anyways, let's see.
But
yeah, go ahead.
Now, when you said Super Robot Wars, that reminds me there were two different technically three, with crossovers between Namco, Capcom, and the second two involve Sega.
Okay.
It's called the other two are called Project Cross Zone or X Zone. They do the X thing again.
Uh-huh.
Well, the first one is Capcom X Marvel, Capcom X Namco.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting because the Project Cross Zone does feature one character from Super Robot Wars, right? Two from the Endless Frontier. I think that was also part of Super Robot Wars.
Okay. Yeah. Endless Frontier. That was the DS game. Yeah. Which also had characters from other games.
Yeah. Yes. Which two of those characters were from the Namco X Capcom game.
Okay. Cool. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Namco X Capcom. That was another thing.
Yeah. But it's kind of interesting because this is an RPG game, and they had the characters interact more this way.
Right. I feel like RPGs would allow for more crossover potential. Also, I do want to mention that like each crossover, I forgot to mention that when it comes to Super Robot Wars, every series, almost virtually every series would always have 3 robots to represent the Gundam, Get a Robo, and Mazinger franchises. And speaking of Gundam, there was actually a series of games that would feature, Ultraman, Kamen Rider, and Gundam. And so there have been multiple games that featured representatives of those 3 franchises all together. And I think, according to Wikipedia, it's referred to as the Compati Hero series. Compati, I guess, is their Japanese bastardization of compatible. Because when it comes to the Japanese language, they sure love to take foreign words and bastardize them and simplify them to hell to make it fit their pronunciations.
Over here, we don't do anything like that. Not at all.
At least we say words like ballet instead of calling it ballet, or noir instead of noir. But anyways, the only game I remember playing was for the PSP. It was called, what was it called? Great Battle Full Blast. And that featured the original Gundam, Kamen Rider, and Ultraman all in chibi form, which I guess would kind of explain why they're all the same size. And then they had like the most recent version of those franchises characters teaming up with the original generation, and it's like a side-scrolling beat-em-up series. So let's see. And there was also a recent video game that came out last year, which was, I think it was Superhero Tyson. No, Superhero Tyson was a PS1 game that featured a bunch of tokusatsu heroes like Ultraman, Kikaider, Sentai, I think, and even a couple Gundams from the 90s. And then also there was a Tokusatsu Tyson 2001, which featured more tokusatsu characters, even more obscure ones like Daitetsujin 17, Giant Robo, and even Super Robot Red Baron. And so surprisingly, a lot of these like tokusatsu and mecha crossovers have all been RPGs, and most of them have been like turn-based RPGs, which is kind of
I think that's also what they did with the Project Cross Zone games.
Yeah. Most of these,
it's a chibi style, and I think the way you described it is exactly how it plays.
Yeah. If it's not a fighting game, it's usually an RPG, a turn-based RPG game, which is a little bit disappointing because I would love to like play as these
see the actual designs.
That, and I would love to play as these characters in an action, in an action-oriented environment.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned Ultraman a couple times. That reminds me, there was supposed to be like this weird kaiju survival horror game that have characters like Godzilla, Ultraman, the unit from Evangelion as the monsters that will be attacking.
Yeah, that is called City Shrouded in Shadow, which it's a good thing you mentioned that because news recently came out about that project.
It canceled?
No, it's actually coming back,
really?
But solely for the PS4 instead of the PS4 and Vita. And I just sent you an image of Great Battle Full Blast, by the way.
They're adorable.
And you could tell, I always love when they give pupils, like cute anime pupils to the Gundams.
It's always weird seeing chibi characters with muscles.
Let's see. Oh, by the way, there was also a series in the Compati Hero series where it was a soccer game that featured Gundam, Kamen Rider, Ultraman, and Godzilla.
Oh yeah, I think I actually remember that. I think I ran across it at least. I don't think I played it, but I know I didn't play it, but I think I ran across it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Oh, and that the latest game in that crossover series with Ultraman, Kamen Rider, and Gundam was Superhero Generation. That was the latest game. And that was actually one of the first games I bought here in Japan. And it's another...
Now, a crossover with Gundam and Ultraman, that's a crossover that never dawned on me.
What?
That crossover between Gundam and Ultraman, because to me that just seems too different for some reason.
Right, because Gundam has always been about this intense space opera war between man and man. Questioning whether or not world peace can ever truly be a thing. Can mankind ever, is mankind capable of striving towards a better future, or are we just stuck in this repetitive cycle of death and violence? Very different from Ultraman. So
and Ultraman's a hero that destroys the city while trying to save it.
Yeah, the thing is with Ultraman is that that's a franchise that has a clear cut, here are the good guys, here are the bad guys. Whereas with Gundam, even though there are technically bad guys, there's never there's always good people and bad people.
It's
always
Civil War all over again.
Yeah, there's always good people and bad people on both sides.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah, another Gundam crossover was of Dynasty Warriors Gundam, which was all about...
I did not know that existed. I knew they did one for Legend of Zelda.
Yeah. Before Zelda got the Dynasty Warriors treatment, there was Dynasty Warriors Gundam 1, 2, 3, and one more that they made. I had the third one, and it's a lot of fun seeing the characters. It's a cliche story of all the characters from all the different timelines and alternate universes getting sucked into another dimension. All the characters are like, "Where are we?" And it's like, "Oh no!"
Same thing with the Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I guess we have to fight this mysterious enemy in order for us to escape. Oh no, it's our old villains. Let's team up to fight those guys who are going to team up with each other. And
Oh, that reminds me.
there's your story.
Should we count the JoJo Bizarre Adventure games since they did something like that?
Oh, yeah. I'll let you take over for this one because I'm less familiar with that game. And by the way, I sent you another reference image for the latest Gundam Ultraman Kamen Rider crossover.
So the only one I could think of is that the main villain Dio. There was supposed to be a god version of him that brings all the JoJos of all the different timelines together, so we could try to kill them all at once. Yeah, but the fighting game works very similar to a lot of the Dragon Ball Z games. The gameplay does. Yeah, it works very similar in that way. And also, the design of Dio is so weird in that.
Oh, they redesigned him.
Yep, this god version of him.
Oh, okay, a god version, okay. Kind of, it's like that thing where you got to make your main villain have like a super mode. Kind of like what happened with Dark Khan in Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. Or even like there was a recent Kamen Rider crossover game where it's all the Kamen Riders get sucked into another dimension. Only a few of them survive and the rest are turned evil. So that is your excuse to have Kamen Riders fighting other Kamen Riders in order to face off against... what was his name? White Moon, who was the main villain from Kamen Rider Black. And he gets a super mode where he's glowing all red.
Yeah, but I think this version of Dio outbeats all of them just because he has his name written on the side of his face.
Nice. Oh,
because, branding. Brand recognition, that's what it is.
More like Brando recognition?
No. I'm not going to talk to you right now.
And there's your, I just sent an image for the Godzilla crossover with the other characters.
Never have they been so adorable.
Indeed.
Yeah. But there was another video game that came to mind, but I forgot it was kind of a crossover, but Great. I forget. Yeah, I'll just move on to the movie. I guess we just move on to the next topic.
Okay, which is?
That would be movies and TV.
Yes, so... With movies and television, there's been, from what I understand, there's been a lot of television crossovers over the years.
Particularly with sitcoms.
Yeah, sitcoms, definitely. Sometimes with drama, and many times in animation.
Now, with drama, one of the weirdest ones I could think of came out recently, which was a crossover between the Fox series Bones. You familiar with that series?
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with that.
And Sleepy Hollow.
Huh. I know it's usually like they're both, I guess it kind of makes sense because aren't they both like procedural detective dramas?
Yes, but Sleepy Hollow involves supernatural stuff.
I guess so,
involves the devil. Now, just for my mind here, when I first heard this, I went, oh my god, the atheist from Bones is going to kill us so much you realize God exists.
Now imagine if they crossed over with Fringe, if you remember that show.
I vaguely remember. It was kind of a confusing story for me to follow.
It was kind of like, it started out as sort of like a next generation X-Files, but then it went into its whole interdimensional, multi-universe, temporal mythology building storyline.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would be weird crossover to try to do with something like Bones. It probably could work with Sleepy Hollow, though.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I'm looking through the crossover Kamen Rider Ultraman games, and I just found for the GameCube, there's a kart racing game for the GameCube for Ultraman and Kamen Rider. And
because why not?
They got giant bobbleheads. Charinko Hero Box. Oh, no, it's called...
So Mario Kart with Sentai Heroes?
No, it's called Charinko Hero.
Yep.
I'm gonna send you an image. It's bizarre, to say the least. It's Mario Kart with Kamen Rider and Ultraman. Why is this?
They don't even look like they're driving. It looks like their heads are just attached to the car.
Yeah, they're just almost like floating above. And this is just like the box art, and we don't even know how the game actually looks. What the game actually looks like.
It actually looks nothing like the box art. It's amazing.
All right, so back to movies and television.
Animation, you're right. Sorry, go ahead.
But I did want to bring up one thing that kind of can get very weird when it comes to crossovers is that if you establish that all these characters exist in the same universe, that could lead to some really strange consequences. The biggest example that comes to mind is what happened to the ending of Saint Elsewhere. And it's an infamous ending that even people who have never seen the show, who at least study film and media, know about, which is at the end, the Saint Elsewhere was this show that took place in a hospital. It was a hospital drama.
Yeah.
And at the end of the show, it's revealed that all of this whole entire series and all the characters all exist in the mind of this autistic child who never speaks a word, and all those characters are actually tenants in an apartment in real life. So this was just this boy's imagination interpreting his world as the TV show.
Yeah.
Which brings to mind, but since the show has crossed over with several characters, and those characters crossed over with other characters, and those characters crossed over with other characters, that there's this overly complicated web of television shows that all take place in the mind of this boy.
This child's a genius and no one knows it.
Yeah, he would be the greatest writer ever.
But, I'm sorry to do this, but we had to go back to comics again because something came to mind because we were talking about video games before.
Sure.
There was a crossover in Archie Comics. Archie did a lot of weird crossovers. I'm not going to bring up Punisher meets Archie or anything like that.
Archie meets Predator.
Yeah. But they did a crossover between Sonic and Mega Man. Mega Man. I said Mega Man.
Yeah. I want to check that out. They also did a thing where it's like Sega versus Capcom, right? Or Sega meets
not
Capcom.
versus, but they teamed up. That was the sequel to it. Now, what I liked about the Mega Man Sonic thing, I don't read the comics, but what's interesting, they use that as their flashpoint to reboot the comics.
Oh yeah, because of the whole Ken Penders thing.
Yeah, because there was a lot of problems with a lot of legal issues, and he got to keep all the rights to all the characters he created for that comic.
Yeah, that's a strange and fascinating story where Ken Penders, from what I understand, he wrote a significant amount of story and characters and lore for the Archie Sonic comics, but then he wanted to claim ownership of all the stuff he created. So Archie, Sega, and the writers, they decided to just, like you said, reboot everything, and so that they can just erase all that lore and all those characters from existence. So now he's free to do whatever he wants, and I heard he's trying to make a comic book based off of one of the echidnas he created.
Of course he is, because why not?
Sure.
But I find it interesting that they use a crossover to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because usually crossover is just a one-time thing. It's just,
right, and it never has any impact on the actual story itself.
Yeah.
Unlike Spawn, which was that one example I brought up.
Yeah. But now, with the second crossover, they actually did something that really surprised me. They actually led up to that crossover.
I see.
Because they had these things called Genesis portals, which is how the universes started to merge.
Genesis.
Yes. And they started making that the main focus for a lot of the issues, seeing them as a threat, and that's how all this happened. That's how Sigma, who was the main villain of the second crossover, ended up in Sonic's world. Yeah. But now, the second one had a real big problem, though.
Okay.
They had all these characters they wanted to fit in, Street Fighter and all that, but they had months to do this. They had 4 different books, to work with for, I think, about 3 to 4 months, and they could have easily fit in all the other Capcom and Sega characters in it, but they decided for the first few months to focus on the Sonic and Mega Man characters.
Okay.
And the last month, they decided to try to shove everyone in there. That's kind of a big problem, shoving in all those characters while giving them real development, how they meet these characters.
Okay, it felt rushed a little bit.
Yeah, they go to the worlds like, hey, there's a bad guy in our world. Do you think he'd help us out? And for some reason, they're like, okay, wait, you come from another world? Just don't ask. Just come on.
Don't think about it.
But now, here's another thing. I just think this is fun. Personally, I just think this is funny. Is that we have all the famous Capcom characters, all the recognizable ones. Then you had the Sega ones. No one probably even remembers.
Oh. It's like Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, and you see the All-Stars like, hey man, we exist too. It used to be called Sega Superstars Tennis, and then the next game, Sonic! And Sega Superstars Tennis Racing.
It's just like the Sonic and Image Comics crossover. Spawn's in this for 2 panels. You get to see all the other famous Image characters like, Spawn's in it.
Hey man, the Max was okay. It was great. It was a great comic. Like, who cares?
I finally remember that video game I wanted to talk about. It was the Show and Jump, like Dragon Ball Z and all that.
Yeah. Jump Superstars and Jump Ultimate Stars. I love those games.
Yeah. Yes, I remember seeing the review on Rebel Taxi's channel.
Oh, the new one for the PS3
the newest
and PS4.
one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Okay. I grew up with Jump Ultimate Stars for the DS in high school.
Yeah, I saw those. I did see those, yeah.
Yeah, that's...
I want to bring this up because it's a little more animated.
That was technically my first introduction to JoJo. I was like, who are these characters? Why do they fight with ghosts?
But I remember seeing his review on that, and he was saying, in a lot of these characters, nobody even knows. And I went, I know a lot of characters.
I know. Nobody cares what you know.
I'm sorry.
Shut up, nerd.
I was going my corner. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you go there. You stay there. You're going to think about what you just said.
Yeah. Also, we didn't talk about the very first comic book crossover between 2 different companies. Spider-Man meets Superman.
Oh, okay. I never read that, actually. I thought... Wasn't there also a Spider-Man and Batman as well?
Yeah, that came out years after, but that was actually really cool, having, like, Carnage team up with the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
And their views of how to kill people collide with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Joker was very theatrical, like Carnage just says, I'm going to go out there and just kill a guy.
I see.
Yeah. But what's interesting about the Superman and Spider-Man crossover, that was supposed to be a TV movie. Yeah. This is the time when they made anything TV movies.
Right. Even like the Hulk had like TV movies.
Yeah.
I mean, one
was with Thor.
Thor and not Daredevil, which eventually became the basis for Frank Miller's reboot of Daredevil.
Yeah.
Let's see. In terms of I'm trying to think of more television crossovers. There was that one brief episode of Power Rangers and Masked Rider, and then like when they moved on to help promote the pilot for Masked Rider, which eventually which ignored all the events from the crossover.
And also the Ninja Turtles crossover.
Oh yeah, that was a thing. Yeah.
Because, when I think Power Rangers, I just want to team with pizza-eating turtles.
Hey man, you got to introduce the most popular characters of the 80s with the most popular characters of the 90s.
Exactly.
Let's see. And let's see, what else?
Simpsons did a lot of other crossovers.
Well, that's true. They would have characters show up in their universe.
Yeah, but they also did one with the old anime series Fox had called The Critic.
Yes, that was a one-time episode, and for whatever reason, Matt Migraine, he did not wanted to be a part of that episode, and he always kept his name off the credits. And even though really years down the line, he would totally shill out for Family Guy and for the Family Guy crossover to happen. Yeah. I'm like, you hypocrite! You've lost your integrity.
Although that Family Guy crossover was a mess, I think they redeemed themselves. I did enjoy the Family Guy crossover, but I think they did a lot better on the Futurama crossover episode.
I see. At least it was... Although from what I hear, a lot of people were not satisfied with that crossover because it didn't focus a lot. It only focused on Homer and Bender and kind of giving the shaft to most of the other cast members from both sides.
Well, it makes sense focusing more on them, in my opinion, because they're the 2 most iconic characters of both shows. Yeah. But it's kind of, to me, this is like the comedy version of a Dark Man versus Army of Darkness.
Two
characters created by the same person meeting each other.
Right. Okay, then. Let's see. Other television crossover. Oh, yeah. Do you remember when Disney Channel was doing crossovers with a lot of its animated programming? Where
like the Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah. Kim
they
Possible.
Met, like, American Dragon.
Yeah, American Dragon, the Proud Family. It's super weird to look at because their art styles do not match each other. It's not like The Critic, where at least The Critic, they made the character of Sherman fit into the art style of The Simpsons.
By that, they changed him yellow.
Yeah, and they kind of made him look more exaggerated.
Yeah.
But with these characters, they kept them on model. So I'm thinking to myself, how did on earth were the animators able to, work on this art style? I guess as a professional animator, you have to adjust to any art style over,
Yeah.
in a matter of minutes in order to, redraw this character and then have a new job work on another show and draw this other new art style. But, it just, the characters, when they move into another character's show, they look so out of place. It's like, it almost looked like if someone was like digitally like green screen them into that show.
You gotta wonder, did they see each other as looking different? Worried, like, oh god, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. It's like, where are your outlines? How come they're the same color as your skin? Or like, how all the character designs in Lilo and Stitch are super soft, and yet you look at Kim Possible, who's like a very pointy, straight line character design.
That was so weird.
Yeah, it's like, it's unnatural.
What's wrong with your boobs, madam?
It's like the crow from Billy and Mandy. You fools! You've messed with the natural order!
Yeah. Oh, Billy and Mandy, they did a crossover with Kids Next Door.
Yes, they did. Yeah, the grim adventures of the kids next door.
Yeah.
They did one episode where Fred Flintstone was unfrozen and was like really confused by the modern world.
And he only said yabba dabba doo.
Yeah, that was weird. Let's see. I'm pretty sure there was some other instances where they made some.
Scooby-Doo made a brief appearance.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Billy.
Let's see. Speaking of Scooby-Doo, there was the let's see, what else did they do? Oh yeah, there was the Space Jam movies. If we're talking about animation, Space Jam and Looney Tunes back in action.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Roger Rabbit brought a whole lot of Golden Age animated characters back together. I would love for them to make like a sequel to Roger Rabbit, but instead of having it set in the Hollywood, in like 1940s Hollywood, imagine they have them in like the age of digitally CG animated cartoons, and like it's more difficult for a 2D animated character to find work in Hollywood nowadays.
I actually thought the same thing. I actually thought it'd be kind of really cool.
Yeah, yeah. And then it's like, for a 2D animated character, he tries to work in television, but he's too expensive to work with because nowadays Flash animated characters have now taken over animated television animation.
Oh god, you gotta wonder if that makes them feel a little insulted because all the effort that was put in them.
Yeah, yeah.
I understand Flash is hard, but like when you compare it to classic animation, yeah,
it's like a very convenient shortcut, huh?
Yeah. So I should know I use an animation that's meant for people that have no idea how to animate.
Baby steps, my friend. Baby steps. So let's see. So that's a lot of animated crossovers.
There was
yeah.
Ben 10 meets Generator Rex.
Oh yeah, I never saw that actually, but I've always wanted to because I was a fan of Ben 10, at least the original Ben 10, and I did enjoyed Generator Rex from time to time.
Yeah, I like Generator Rex because it was probably the most original action cartoon at the time.
I was super excited when I learned that that Rex himself was Latino. So I was like, oh, awesome. We have a mainstream Cartoon Network hero who is of Latino descent. That's awesome. Yeah. And he can't speak a lick of Spanish, like me, which makes me further relate to him.
He's just like me.
Finally, someone who understands me.
Now you know how I feel when I see an awkward teenager in an anime. He's just like me, but a teenager.
Then I guess that means you must have a lot of people you can look up to.
Yes, I do.
All by myself. No one.
But that crossover was. But it's interesting how they connected those two worlds. It's still like one of those one from another universe crossover.
Okay.
But the main villain, which is a super intelligent nanite, came from Rex's world, but he was sent to the prison that in Ben 10's universe they keep all the aliens.
Okay.
And he's been trying to get to their universe, and that's why he dragged Ben with him.
Okay. And let's see. Since we talked a little bit about Power Rangers, of course, every season they have their annual team up. Although it looks like the Neo Saban era didn't do that at all recently. Haven't been doing that recently. The last one they did was I think it was called Clash of the Red Rangers, where they only brought in the Red RPM Ranger to team up with the Samurai Rangers. And okay, of course, there's the Legendary Battle, but it was like so brief that everyone was disappointed with it. It satisfied no one, except like the most hardcore of fans who wanted to see Tommy again.
Yeah. Oh, I had to bring this up. I almost had a chance to meet the Red Ranger, the original Red Ranger.
What's his name? Austin St. John, or Jason or Rocky?
Yeah, Jason.
Jason. Oh, sweet. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know he was doing conventions. Yeah,
and we couldn't get to him because of such a big line. That's why we couldn't also meet Adam West. But we could meet the guy from Sharknado.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, it was so awkward. We didn't know each other's names.
Yeah.
And also, he had the nerve to ask me to pay him for an autograph. I was the only person there.
That reminds me, I saw the Lou Ferrigno at the last Comic-Con I went to, which is probably about like 2 or 3 years ago, and he charges $40 for an autograph and $40 for a picture.
Oh God!
Like, and this, it's like, really, man? Are you really that desperate for cash that you need to go to every convention? You know, and from what I hear, I've heard some people said like he would just invite them over and offer to take a picture with them, and then bamboozle them with by charging them afterwards. But I did meet the original Black Ranger, Walter Jones, who was Zach, and he was a lot of fun to talk to, and he only charged $5 for an autograph and $25 for a picture, or no. I think so. And so
Sharknado asked us for about $100.
Fuck me, man.
What my mind was, you didn't realize you're not worth it, right?
I mean, I talked to my childhood hero for only like $30 total.
Yes. I was like, you're the guy I watch when I'm bored and want to laugh.
Right.
But right next to him, we got to meet Steve Guttenberg, someone I recognize a little more than the other guy.
Oh, yeah, Steve Guttenberg. I remember him.
I remember him from such iconic films like Police Academy and Lava Lanchulas on Sci-Fi.
Wasn't he in Short Circuit as well?
Was he?
I think so. Yeah. And I think he was in Twister as well, maybe.
Yeah. Now, I learned something very sad about the man that played in Sharknado. Apparently, he's a Chippendales dancer.
We all got to start somewhere, man.
Yeah, I guess my mind, though, is which one are you more proud of, Sharknado or Chippendale dancing? I really just wanted to say, just take a guess.
Which one helps pays the bills more?
It's not Sharknado.
Oh yeah. So let's see. Other crossovers for television. Oh yeah. We were talking about Power Rangers, and so Sentai and Kamen Rider would have their crossovers along with Ultraman, but I know recently they did a series of superhero Tyson movies, which would be like every year there would be the most recent Kamen Rider teaming up with the most recent Power Rangers, and I haven't seen a lot of them, but from what I've seen, it's just these big convoluted toy commercials. The closest I ever got to seeing them was the Kamen Rider 1 movie, which I did see and I gave a positive review to, but even then I would admit the story is a little generic and I only enjoyed it mostly for the portrayal of the original Kamen Rider. But even then, like, the movies themselves would seem to pretty much reflect the newer incarnations of Kamen Rider and Power Rangers, which would just be giant toy commercials. I know there's this individual named Bueno. He is a Canadian-Filipino filmmaker who works in Japan making indie tokusatsu hero movies. His most biggest claim to fame has been Gun Caliber, which I recently bought the Blu-ray for online. And Gun Caliber is a lot of fun, a really fun web series you can check out on YouTube. And on that same channel, which is called Garage Hero Pro TV, I think, he does really cool, really interesting, fun, in-depth reviews with his buddies outside the movie theaters whenever he goes to watch a superhero Tyson movie, or shit, as he likes to call, SHT. It's pretty goddamn clever. So let's see.
I hate it when people think of better jokes than I could. Something I do want to bring up because we've been saying this a lot of how a lot of crossovers have the same generic story.
Yeah.
Now,
where it's like two characters from alternate dimensions fighting and then teaming up, and the villains. Sometimes the villains combine into one supervillain.
Yeah. But what if a crossover did something like that anime I told you about, Recreators?
Oh, yeah, where it gets like very meta, right?
Yeah, where characters come to the real world. Wouldn't it be interesting to do that, but with characters that...
That's almost like what Wreck-It Ralph did, actually. Where they aware...
Yeah, but these characters didn't know they were fake.
Right, but it's almost a similar premise.
Yeah. But it'd be kind of interesting to see like actual comic and manga characters in the real world kind of come over in a story in the real world.
Yeah. Roger Rabbit was kind of like that, where it's like these are characters that act in movies, and then outside the real world, they're regular people. Let's see, what other ones does that? Where it's like fictional characters that come to the real world.
Space Jams did this a lot. This was the main focus.
Yeah.
Because people didn't even know they were real.
Right. That's kind of weird where they act. Yeah, would be an interesting thing to explore, where they're both fictional characters and real characters from another world.
Actually, an even better story.
The Rocky and Bullwinkle movie did that.
Oh yeah, they did. That was, people can say that the only good live action cartoon movie. Yeah, but here's another interesting story. What if instead of characters coming to the real world, the creators go to their world? Because in their world, since superheroes already exist, comic books are about comic book creators.
I think DC may have explored that, because in DC there exists an Earth Prime, which is supposedly the real world within the DC multiverse. And that's where Superboy Prime comes from. Superboy Prime is the only superhero who exists in the real world, but we never saw him because he got sucked out into the DC multiverse, where he became a deranged lunatic. And he becomes aware of these DC writers who have been writing him as this terrible, murderous character who's constantly throwing him into worse and worse situations over time. And I think there was a DC superhero story where one DC writer realizes he has all this power and begins to abuse it once he realizes that his writing actually has real-world consequences.
Marvel did something very similar with two different comic books. One's Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. Have you heard that one? Where at the end he goes to the real world, and they were writing out the exact scenario while he was peeping on them, ready to kill them.
Yeah. He was like, shh, when he says that to the reader himself.
And then he says, "You guys are next." He says, "You guys are next to the reader."
Yeah.
But another one is the newer character, which was started out as a gimmick but became very popular, which is Gwenpool. When Spider-Gwen became popular, they made Gwen Stacy parodies of other characters.
Yeah.
Gwenpool apparently is from the real world, and she was sent to the Marvel world during the Secret War storyline.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's interesting... What?
There was also another... this was another Elseworlds DC story, where I forgot what it was called, but it was it's take place in the real world, where Superman and all the other characters, they are all fictional, but there's a real-life Clark Kent who grew up in real-life Kansas, who meets a real-life Lois Lane, and they hate their names. They hate the fact that they look, sound, and act, and their lives play out exactly like the comics, because people make fun of them for that. But then the real-world Clark Kent realizes he is this universe's Superman. And so he's inspired by the comics and tries to live the same life as Superman. But of course, this is a one-time storyline, so we actually see him grow up, start a family with Lois, share his secret, have children. I believe he has 2 daughters, and they become Supergirls. And there's this government agent who follows them throughout their lives, and he becomes a close friend of this universe's Superman.
Now, speaking of Supergirls, that reminds me that the DC TV series on the CW do crossovers.
Right. Although from what I understand... The only downside
is Supergirl. That's the only downside. Ugh.
So I'm assuming the show's not good.
The problem is it shoves political stuff down your throat. So
I see. So it's just like the message is
Trump's evil. That's it.
It's too... Okay, so the message is just too up in front about it.
Yep. One episode, she was going to meet... what's the name of the one that played the original Wonder Woman?
Linda Carter.
Yeah, she plays the president in this world, and when she said, "Oh, I'm so glad to meet her. Can you believe someone voted for the other guy?" I went, "I wonder what that could mean." But the only reason I watched that because that's one of my favorite characters in it, Martian Manhunter.
Oh yeah, cool.
You actually see a live action version of him. I just think it's awesome, but it's just sad as in that.
Let's see. From what I understand, Supergirl, she's technically in that DC television universe, but she exists in another universe.
World.
Yeah, because
universe where Superman and Batman exist.
I guess it's because Supergirl is just too powerful to keep around in the Flash Arrow universe. Because if Supergirl exists in the Flash Arrowverse, then that means all their problems could simply be solved by calling over Supergirl for help.
I don't understand why Green Arrow just doesn't do it. Hey Barry, I have a villain here. Can you just come by? Oh, never mind, he's there. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a little bit convoluted. It's also one of those things where it affects even the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where people would say, "Oh, where's Thor in all of this? Where's Iron Man? Why can't this character call on this character for some help?"
But I want to go back to the Arrow and Flash thing real quick because there's something I've realized. Green Arrow can never complain about his life to the Flash. Just because the Flash alters time a lot and he just can't beat that. How was your day? Oh my god, I had to deal with another vigilante. I heard that. I altered reality and made myself my own enemy. Oh.
You certainly have me beat.
I'm going home.
Yeah.
You're right. But you're right about the Marvel movies when they do that, because you don't want to, by saying that, you don't want to see these characters in certain movies because they'll just make the movie quicker.
Right. So with these Marvel Cinematic movies, they've obviously, they made crossovers a popular thing again, to the point where you have to have it all planned out. This can't be just a one and done thing. Before we had Freddy vs. Jason, King Kong versus Godzilla, Alien versus Predator, and Aliens versus Predator Requiem.
That's another thing, though. The monster versus movies. Is it weird that all of them are somehow related to Universal?
I guess so. Like it was Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and then Godzilla kind of made Versus a popular thing. Sure, there was House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, but I think it was Godzilla that kind of made the idea of this versus that popular.
Yeah, but it all goes back to Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, because it's always referenced in all these other Universal versus movies, as in, like Godzilla versus King Kong, that's Universal.
True.
Alien
no,
Predator,
it wasn't Universal. Kong wasn't Universal at that point. It was distributed by Universal.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a Universal character until like the 70s.
Yeah, but it's always whenever it's I can't pronounce the word for some reason. Yeah, that word.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always involved Universal, and every time it does involve Universal, it references Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
I guess
Alien vs. Predator referenced that. Godzilla versus King Kong versus Godzilla played one of the themes from that.
Wolfman versus Legendary Beast Wolfman versus Godzilla featured a Wolfman.
Yeah, exactly. Even Freddy versus Jason, I believe, referenced Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
Mm-hmm.
The only one I don't know yet because I haven't seen it. I can't see it anywhere. Where it's Sadako versus Kayako, which is still Universal.
Oh yeah, that was a thing. Yeah.
Yep. Which is pretty much Japan's answer to Freddy versus Jason.
I guess so. Yeah.
It's pretty much the exact same story. It's like the only one that can defeat one monster is the other.
Yeah.
That's why they brought one to the other's territory.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, yeah, there were a lot of like versus movies. But now we have a movie where we have you have to set up all these different characters and then have them meet up every couple of years to fight some bad guy. And obviously the Avengers was a huge success, and that led to this, Phase 2. And then during Phase 2, we got the DC Extended Universe, which has been tripping and falling over itself up until the release of Wonder Woman, which everyone seems to be enjoying quite well. We have the dark universe. I had to say it like that because it's like the most generic name ever for Universal. And we have the Monsterverse, which is being made by Legendary Pictures and Warner Brothers.
It's weird the Universal Monsters universe isn't called the Monsterverse.
Yeah, I bet you they're like, God damn it!
Yep. Our name will be the Monsterverse. Sir? Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
We'll call ourselves the Monstars. Warner Brothers, Space Jam has us beat by 20 years.
But actually, I've been thinking about the new Universal Monsters thing. I thought of a great way for them to go, but I doubt they'd ever do it.
Which is?
Instead of rebooting all this, make these like a reboot sequel where the original movies still exist.
Mm-hmm. Give some history to this universe.
Yeah. Like the Dracula now is the same Dracula, but he just changed form over years.
He regenerates like the Master.
Yeah. And I think I told you this before. I thought it'd be interesting that for their center, like their shield and their monarch, it would be cool for it to be Van Helsing.
But it's too late for that.
Yeah. Yep. It's weird they didn't go with Van Helsing. He would have been more obvious.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get
He's a monster hunter.
Maybe we'll get like Van Helsing Jr. or something like that. Or maybe by the end of the Mummy movie, it'll be like, don't trust Dr. Jekyll. He's two-faced, both figuratively and literally. Who are you? I'm the true hero of the story, Van Helsing. Ending stinger.
Then someone else comes in. I'm the true hero of the story. Who are you? Oh, no, I just wanted to join in.
I'm Steve.
That would be me.
I'm Steve the janitor. I just wanted to fit in. I'm so lonely. I just want to be a part of things. I never get to be a part of things.
But your friend Deadpoolzilla did. When he said he was excited for Creature from Black Lagoon, that's also what I'm excited for.
Yeah. In fact, I just remembered there was a Kickstarted movie called Shallow Waters. I remember I heard about it because Matt Frank was pimping it out on Facebook, and Shallow Waters was this kind of like a lake monster movie that seems to draw a lot of inspiration from Creature from the Black Lagoon and kept everything with practical suits and effects. Yeah. And so it'd be cool to see something like that as a representation of the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm trying to find images of Shallow Water. Let's see. Oh, here we go.
I'm guessing you're finding actual shallow water when you're looking this up.
That's what I did. I forgot to put film afterwards. Shallow water film.
Don't worry. I had the same problem when I was looking for Dick's Sporting Goods. I forgot to add sporting goods.
Awkward.
Mom, that's not what it looks like.
I can explain.
I was looking for Dick's, not this one.
No. Damn it, I can explain better. There's an image.
Oh, well, that's very much like the original Creature from the Black Lagoon, just more crocodile-like head.
Actually, I was thinking more like a snapping
reptilian?
turtle.
Snapping? Oh, yeah, I guess it would be a snapping turtle.
Here's another image of, this is one's like a bust of it.
Oh, yeah, I get that. Yeah, that definitely looks more definitely looks more like a snapping turtle. But it definitely does have, but it also has the feel of the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, like a very humanoid monster that we can probably assume it'll go after a bunch of teenagers or adults. And here's a shot of the suit being touched on by the filmmaker putting the finishing touches on it before filming.
Oh yeah, that definitely looks like a snapping turtle from that image.
Yep.
Actually, it looks more like a snapping turtle for some reason. It looks like the nose is flatter in that one.
All practical.
Yeah.
But we know that won't happen. We know for sure that won't happen with this upcoming Creature from the Black Lagoon movie.
It's always upsetting. It's always upsetting when they could have used practical effects, but at the same time, it makes it amazing when you do see practical effects.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's what Shallow Waters was. Shallow Water was heavily relying on. It's like, we're bringing practical effects back with this movie. That's what
the new Dark Crystal series that's going to be on Netflix is doing.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, it's going to be all puppets.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think that's cool. They didn't like try to animate it or anything. They actually just went traditional.
Now, to finally start to wrap things up, do you think, now, with crossovers, it looks like the most popular crossover that keeps seems to be getting bigger and bigger and seems to be the most profitable is our cinematic universes. Do you think cinematic universes will continue to last, or do you think people might get sick of them?
Well, that's the thing. It's kind of like what happened to giant monster movies. They were successful for a while, then they disappeared, then they came back. I think that's just how any movie trend works. Yep. Even westerns are trying to slowly come back. Yep. But in all honesty, I don't really consider cinematic universes as crossovers anymore, just because we are so used to it now.
I remember it used to be, back in the day, it used to be very subtle as to having all these characters take place, all these movies take place in one universe, like Kevin Smith's View-esque universe. Yeah. A lot of Kevin Smith's movies, you would have one character make a cameo appearance in another movie.
And mostly it's Jay and Silent Bob or the
Silent Bob, yeah. Or like Randall and Dante. Or, some other characters showing up. Or you would have something like Kill Bill, where you'd have similar little hints and nods that all of Quentin Tarantino's movies take place in the same movie. Like, I think it was called, like, Big Kahuna Burger. That would be like a fictional burger restaurant, fast food restaurant that would appear in almost all of his movies.
They also did something similar in the Kevin Smith movies with the cartoon cow.
Yeah. So, I guess that used to be like the old, more subtle, like Easter eggy style of cinematic universes. Now you gotta have like big crossover. You gotta promote the fact that it's all in the same universe.
But like I said, when you do it like that, it just doesn't feel like a crossover anymore.
Yeah, I guess the crossovers are supposed to feel more special.
Yeah,
when you have them interacting all the time.
It's something unique.
Right.
It's like, what if we had Simpsons meeting Family Guy every other week?
Yeah. So I guess it is possible that a lot of people can get tired of this stuff, especially since, like, there's like, wait a minute, in order to enjoy this movie, I have to watch, like, the last 5 years worth of movies to get caught up. But I think that's why it's helped audiences be able to enjoy these movies more so now than ever, because now we live in the day and age of the internet where information is easy to get a hold of, and people are able to watch movies, stream movies, just research, look up movies, and can keep up to date much faster than better than they would like 20 years ago.
Yeah. Here's the thing for me in particular. I feel like this whole shared universe thing may end up dying out after the fourth Avengers.
Okay.
Because that's what all this has been leading up to. Even for other shared universes, that's what it's all been leading up to.
I see. So I know.
But once that's over, it's gonna be kind of boring.
I see. Well, it just kind of depends on what else does Hollywood have in store. It's like, you're going to have Godzilla versus King Kong. What are you going to do after that?
Yeah. So once you do the big one, what are you going to do after that?
And do people what are you going to do after Infinity War, when you have the Avengers fighting against reality itself, like reality bending dude? What can you do after that? Like, can you keep up with these characters? Because with comics, they're able to create new stories constantly, while trying to. But with movies, you have to. With comic books, you can keep things relatively the same. You can have a status quo to fall back on, but you can't really do that with movies. With movies, the story always has to progress. Can you keep these characters moving forward for the next, 10, 20 years?
Exactly.
Even so, then
there's also the other side of the actor aging.
Right. Do you want to make it a natural part of the story, or are you simply going to recast things? And are you going to do soft reboots like some movies do?
There are people that keep on saying, well, that's the reason I'm doing this in the comic books, replacing the older characters with newer, younger characters. I went, yes, because people don't want to see Tony Stark as Iron Man.
People who like the Tony Stark Iron Man movies don't want to see Tony Stark Iron Man?
Exactly.
They don't want to risk their money on a character they've never heard of, which is kind of sad for those who want to try to create original characters in the entertainment business.
Yeah, that is I should know.
I would have a hard time when if I eventually get the chance to promote Draco Azul as a comic character. Come see my buy my comic. It's like, is it anything we know? No, but it's something close to something you know. Yes. Aww.
Well, I had the perfect way to sell mine. Read my book. I talk about boobs in it a little bit.
Hooray!
Thank God this country's full of perverts.
God bless America.
It's just like a hentai booth at an anime convention. Come on, guys, don't look away. I know you're peeping. I know you want to come over here. There's a curtain over there to hide you guys.
All right. So, anyways, it looks like the future of crossover seems to be very strong, at least in terms of in terms of the near future. It looks like crossovers are here to stay and will continue to prevail in multiple sorts in multiple forms of media, and they have existed, they have prevailed for many decades, and it seems like they will continue to do so. Whether or not the cinematic universe treatment will continue to last, who will know, but I think it'll be very interesting to see what direction this will go to, and as well as especially superheroes, since that's like the big thing right now. Whether or not they'll go the way of the Western, or the noirs, the film noirs, or the giant monsters when they were gone for a while, or the slasher movies.
It's sad the slasher movies are gone.
Yeah. Who knows what'll happen? So either way, I'm sure we'll get a lot of entertainment seeing more characters interacting with more villains in well-written but predictable plots. So, to wrap,
what else could you ask for in a crossover, huh?
Absolutely. So to finish off this crossover, crossover. Sorry, it's been multiple hours and my throat is dry and I haven't had lunch yet. So,
wait, is this a crossover?
This could be. This is we have two crossovers on the channel.
Oh my God! Yet the plot hasn't thickened.
We have the fictional in-universe crossover with the reviews, and we have the meta crossover, which is happening right now.
Oh, wait! You mean you're not a giant robot and I'm not a two-faced man?
No, I thought you were well aware of that.
Oh, this is awkward. That explains why Bill isn't here.
Right. Yeah, and that's why Bill is not a mustached head on a Godzilla tail in real life.
Don't you talk to her that way.
Oh, you said Belle. I thought you said Bill. I thought you were talking about Zazubar. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm sorry to say, Belle only exists in your head, man. She's not real.
So I don't live in a big mansion full of Playboy bunnies?
No, you do not. My friend, no, you do not. You live wherever the hell you live in real life.
So I can be anywhere I want, apparently.
Only in your mind, man. Only in your mind. Anyways, where can people find you, Crookedlore? If that is your real name.
Well, it says on my driver's license. I hope it is. But you can find me on Crookedlore Productions. My YouTube channel. I guess I should add that part.
Yes. And I'll be sure to leave a link up on the annotations as well as the video's description below. Anywhere else?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right, excellent. And what can people look forward to in the near future?
Well, they can clearly look forward to the next episode of Augustine's Crooked Fables, which is about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Mm-hmm. Then after that will be some shorts that won't take as long as an episode will.
All right, excellent. And so be on the lookout for future reviews now that my editor is back in action after wrapping up high school. And we recently, you and I all collaborated on the Rebirth of Mothra 2 video, which I highly recommend you check it out. I believe it came out looking absolutely stupendous. As well, you can also check me out on Zazubar's channel, on the Sons of Sarazawa podcast, and look forward to, in the near future, for reviews for Kadoja and Gundam Unicorn, which will hopefully be coming out soon. You can also check out my last scripted review before the Mothra 2 review, which was on my friend Denny Roth's comic, Martial Star Chapter 1. And also, oh yeah, you can be sure to look forward to in the near future, because I am currently planning on making a series of G-Fest videos when I come back to America, to attend G-Fest 24. Anyways, in the in the past, we would Bill, Dylan, and I would make the Road to G-Fest videos on his channel, but unfortunately, both Bill and Dylan won't be able to come with me to G-Fest. So luckily, I'll be able to make videos with the likes of Andrew Battaglia, aka Blue Eyes Productions, Patrick Galvin, aka The Unknown 837, Brayton Connor, aka Forever Kaiju, Denny Roth, who made Martial Star, and definitely, of course, Christopher Martinez, the guy behind the Night of the Fire Beast series. So look forward to all
that. And I'll be there spiritually.
Yes, you'll be there spiritually. It's like, and now form the head. I have been Andres Perez, aka KaijuNoir.
And I've been Crookedlore Productions.
And until next time, everybody, take care.